800-885-7700. 800-885-7700.
This is Chris Davis with the Davis Law Group. Did you know that a pedestrian does not have to be crossing the street on a marked crosswalk to have a successful legal claim against the driver? Pedestrians can even be partially at fault for a collision and still have a valuable claim. Call us today for a free consultation or get my free book on pedestrian accident law at WashingtonAccidentBooks.com. That's Davis Law Group, better service and even better results.
Ryan was in pain.
Sharp pain across the front of my kneecaps and had just gotten progressively worse over the years.
And he soon learned the reason for the pain.
Yeah, there was, damaged cartilage on the tops of my kneecap.
And it was slowing him down.
Activities I really enjoyed, hiking, weightlifting, were being significantly impacted by this sharp pain in my knees.
So Ryan chose stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. And now,
I take my hips below my knee with no pain whatsoever. They feel strong, they feel stable.
Which means, yes, he is back to weightlifting.
I feel like I have brand new knees. It's an incredible transition from where it was to where it is now.
So don't let the pain get the last word. Consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Get the facts here from the patients. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
I anticipate being able to really accelerate beyond what I was previously capable of doing.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Kathan. The White House says President Trump will sign an order today easing tariffs on the auto industry. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on the current tariff strategy with other countries.
What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing. And as we start moving forward, announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
Hours after the White House blasted Amazon for a reported plan to list costs added to products because of tariffs, the company says it was considered for certain low-cost products but will not happen. CBS's Robert Costa says today marks 100 days of the second Trump term.
We have seen through all of his actions, whether it's his sweeping policy on immigration and deportations to his standoff with other countries on trade. This is not the Trump of 2017 just getting adjusted to running the federal government. This is someone who now feels like he is in command of not only the federal government, but he's taking on U.S. allies, U.S. adversaries across the board.
A private report on consumer confidence says it fell for the fifth straight month to the lowest level in 5 years amid concern about tariffs. UPS has announced a plan to slash 20,000 jobs, as we hear from CBS's Michael Wallace.
UPS is cutting costs after agreeing to slash the number of packages it will deliver for Amazon by more than half. Amazon accounted for about 12% of UPS's revenue. UPS says the cut should save it $3.5 billion this year.
Well, CBS's Ian Lee is in Chatham, Illinois, where 3 children and an 18-year-old were killed yesterday when police say a woman's car slammed into a building where an after-school program was in session.
She is not currently in custody, and that is probably along the lines of police saying they don't believe this was a targeted attack, looking more at this was possibly an accident. They are also saying that the toxicology report hasn't come back.
Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem tells CBS News the man accused of swiping her purse at a D.C. restaurant with Secret Service nearby is a career criminal.
We were with a big family and 4 kids under the age of 4. I had it right between my feet, but he was professional in how he took it, and we're just glad that now that he's in custody because of so many other crimes he's committed.
The 49-year-old man faces a string of federal charges. Wall Street, right now the Dow is up 220 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A deadly crash shuts down part of I-5. I'll have details in a moment, but first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, that deadly crash happened in the northbound lanes of I-5 in Tacoma. 2 lanes have reopened southbound. Northbound is still closed. As people look for alternate routes, traffic's heavy on 512 through Parkland, on State Route 167, and on I-405. Travel time, Olympia to Tacoma is an hour and 5 minutes. Tacoma to Olympia, 35. Federal Way to Seattle, an hour and 5. Renton to Bellevue, 41 minutes. Traffic brought to you by AAA. A AAA membership helps you save in big ways, like on dinner and a movie, home and auto insurance, roadside rescues, and travel, AAA.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch.
Any place there's a fully blocking collision on I-5, it's not a good place to have a crash.
Trooper John DeTillo on that fiery crash this morning that left a semi-truck driver dead. It happened in the northbound lanes of I-5 in Tacoma. The wreck threw debris into the southbound lanes.
In the southbound lanes, we had a light pole that was disconnected from its base as a result of the collision, and also large chunks of concrete jersey barrier.
Again, a couple of lanes have reopened southbound. The northbound lanes are going to stay closed until troopers are done with their fatal crash investigation. No indication yet what caused it. We're learning more about the 3 people found dead in a Newcastle townhouse Thursday night. The King County Medical Examiner's Office says the victims include a 14-year-old boy and a 41-year-old woman, both fatally shot. A 44-year-old man died by suicide. Their bodies were discovered in a home on Southeast 75th Street near 129th Place Southeast. Tacoma is dealing with a rash of shootings. KIRO 7 TV's Deborah Horn reports from the scene of the latest.
Just before 7 o'clock Sunday night, the calls started coming in to Tacoma police.
Like pop, pop, pop.
I hear the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, we heard about 6, 7 shots.
A man and a woman had been shot in this Salishan neighborhood in East Tacoma. The man was dying. This is becoming a sad reality in Tacoma. Since January 9th, 11 people have died by homicide here, nearly double the number this time last year.
Many of the recent shootings were in East Tacoma. A 120-year-old restaurant at the Pike Place Market is going to stick around for a few more years after all. The Virginia Inn was set to close at the end of the month because it couldn't reach a lease agreement with its landlord. Now the restaurant is posting on social media that it's working out a deal to stay. The hottest team in baseball now includes back-to-back American League Players of the Week.
Jorge Polanco, his second home run of the night. He is absolutely on fire.
Polanco earned the honors after hitting 4 home runs in last week with a batting average near 500. Dylan Moore took home the award last week. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 51 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Happy Tuesday, April 29th. Ursula, this month of April is going fast. Good morning to you.
Good morning to all of you. Hey, we've got a super packed show. It's one of those shows where we're like, okay, are we going to be able to get into all the stories that we want to? And finally, we decided, no, we cannot. No. But as always, this is the Gee and Ursula Show. We're going to make sure that we have some fun, too. And you are so much a part of our show. Our text line is 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. And you all are killing it on our YouTube page as well, where we have a beautiful community forming there. Coming up at 9:30, stunning details from a new report that says over the past decade, Tacoma police repeatedly failed to respond to reports of sexual abuse and assaults at the ICE detention center. We'll find out what is going on there and what is the response. But again, a full show for you, so we need to get started.
Ursula's top stories of the day, brought to you by Batfitter Northwest.
With the U.S. trade war with China continuing to escalate, we're starting to see some real effects on our West Coast ports, including Seattle and Tacoma. But is it as bad as what we're seeing on social media?
I feel like everyone should know this, but the ports are empty. If you didn't know that, the Seattle ports are empty, right? We have like one container ship and half of the containers are empty.
There are no more ships coming from China. Reports from Seattle, Oakland, Long Beach saying their ports are becoming empty. Very, very, very few goods are still arriving from China now.
Guys, there really are going to be empty shelves and goods we cannot get within the next couple of weeks, and it's only going to get worse over the coming months.
So what is actually happening at the ports, and what is this going to mean for you? KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey has been looking into this, and he joins us live.
Well, shipping experts say it's exactly what they were saying. I mean, you just drive by. You're listening right now. If you're driving by Tacoma and Seattle, take a look over. You're seeing fewer containers, and there are no ships. It's happening. What we thought was going to come maybe in weeks or months from now, it seems to be happening right now. Here's the deal: you can't just turn the spigot on and off when it comes to shipping and expect goods from China to just start flowing back into Seattle and Tacoma if you resume things. Right now, Chinese companies are shipping fewer goods here to the U.S., and in many cases, they're canceling whole sailings. So remember what happened during the pandemic when we had the backlog of goods?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so in other words, companies have to catch back up and shipments have to catch back up. So if you were a U.S. company and you ordered like 100 widgets, let's say, and they got delayed here in April, and then October rolls around and shipments start picking back up to normal, those widgets that you ordered in April still have to be shipped and catch back up. You don't just start with the October widgets, right? There's months worth of widgets that have to. Yeah, exactly. It's a mess.
What are they saying though specifically? Because I know you talked to the Port of Seattle.
Yes.
Right. So what are they saying specifically? Like what kind of numbers are we seeing in terms of drops?
They thought that they would see and have more evidence of the impacts of tariffs when it came to shipments of back-to-school supplies, things like that. When shipments really start picking up, which is kind of out now, maybe a little bit into summer, more summer shipments, but they also started noticing this in April, what they call blank sailings, which are these canceled sailings from China, whole ships that just aren't coming because they don't have enough goods. And they thought, okay, that's interesting, a slight increase. But what they're saying now, including Seattle Port Commissioner Ryan Calkins, they're seeing a lot of that, the accumulation effect, and they're seeing more and more ships go away from ports here in Tacoma and Seattle and going up to Canada. That backlog that I talked about is going to be a huge problem for businesses and consumers. Let's listen to one thing he had to say. If maybe I'm not playing it the right way, and so maybe we won't hear what he has to say. No, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. The point is that when it also comes to ships that are in different companies from China and other parts in Asia going to different ports through Canada to bring goods here to the U.S., once that happens, it is extremely difficult to get that business back as well. For instance, during the last trade war with China, which was during Trump's last administration, Seattle lost 8% market share to ports in Canada, and we have never recovered that market share back here to Seattle. And now we're seeing all of that accumulation happening again.
Okay, so Luke, when I hear you give us this news and you tell us about there are ships that are going other places, right, and they're not coming here, I listen to that and I say to myself, well, they can just, if they want to, they can kind of just get on the phone and maybe make this right and things can happen and those ships would come right back. Are you saying that right now that there is no, right now with this going on, there is no guarantee as to when those ships might start coming back because they might have found a new place to go?
Absolutely. And, the ports of Tacoma and Seattle are doing what they can. They're actually talking with other countries, Korea and Vietnam, trying to get trade deals with them to try to, keep the ports full of goods. They also went to the Trump administration and the White House, they told me weeks ago, and asked them, look, you should pass or have an executive order or something that creates a rule that says if you're a company from overseas and you have goods intended for the U.S., you must use a U.S. port to offload those goods or you face a fine or something else. That's not happened yet. And meanwhile, while the Trump administration is working out deals and what to do next about trade between U.S. and China, I do want to play this for you from Ryan Calkins, the port commissioner from Seattle. This is what he says, China is most likely doing.
The Chinese are just sitting back and, got their bucket of popcorn and watching it all happen back in D.C.
Meanwhile, the concern would be what's going to happen in terms of what is going to arrive and be on the store shelves. How much is it going to cost us? A Seattle-based baby clothes company, Swallow Designs, talked about having to pause one of their container shipments this month after realizing that the 145% tariff would add about $300,000 to the shipment's original $200,000 cost. Mm-hmm. And that's just cost prohibitive for a lot of companies, which is why, again, we're just now seeing the impacts of this tariff war. And even if it does, if the White House does back off, it's going to take a while to return it back to normal.
Weeks or months. And in between that time, you're going to see if this is, and there's no indication that this is going to, stop anytime soon. But in between that time, at least for the port commissioners from both Tacoma and Seattle, they tell us, we're going to see some empty shelves here in the Pacific Northwest.
Luke, thank you.
You bet.
Hey, when you buy from Amazon, the report was this morning is that you were going to see how much the tariffs are going to be adding to the price of everything you buy. And the White House made it clear that they were not happy about that.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
And that is White House spokeswoman Caroline Leavitt. She didn't want to speak about Trump's relationship with Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, but she says it's not surprising that the company would take this hostile stance.
It's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing.
But, Gee, just in the last couple of minutes, Amazon now is disputing this report about this plan to show tariff-related costs to consumers. So Punchbowl News is reporting that Amazon – in a statement, an Amazon spokesperson told GeekWire, the team that runs our ultra-low-cost Amazon Haul store considered the idea of listing import charges on certain products. This was never approved, and it's not going to happen. But in any case,
I'm going to simplify this. This is how it went down. We said on the Gee and Ursula Show, we said tariffs are going to make things more expensive for us. And then people, text line and everybody would say, you're just fear-mongering. That's not true. No, they won't. And then, hold on, and then there's a possibility of Amazon showing the tariff cost on there, and to which the White House responds, this is a hostile and political act. I just want to make sure that I get this right, Ursula. If you are someone that no matter what comes out of the White House, no matter what the plan is, even if it's the detriment of your financial situation for your home, and you are still willing to be like, oh, I'll pay for it, no problem. I believe, you believe so much that if you're going to keep doing that, then let's just say what it is. Let's not just say it. Say, no matter what Trump says, I am willing to lose my 401k. I am willing to lose my money. I am willing to pay more.
I think the number of people who fit into that category is shrinking, as we're seeing from the latest approval ratings. But I mean, ratings or no ratings, there's just a lot of chaos. That we are going to be seeing the impacts. The CEOs of 3 of the nation's biggest retailers, we're talking about Home Depot, Target, Walmart, they've all warned the president that tariffs are going to lead to empty shelves and higher prices. But I want to point out something positive, actually. Albertsons, you shared this. Albertsons, which also owns Safeway, is taking a hardline approach with its suppliers. The company has warned them not to include tariff-related costs in invoices without getting prior authorization from Albertsons companies. So basically they're saying we want to try to make sure that the prices don't go automatically to our consumers. So they're saying the suppliers need to eat it. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I'm glad that they did that. I love it.
PR move or actual?
I love that. Yeah. Whether it's a PR move or not, for Safeway and Albertsons to tell their source of product, hey, you guys need to eat the cost. We're not passing this on to our consumers. Thank you.
Yeah. Kudos to them.
Good luck.
But
that's performative.
But
like the suppliers can't eat the costs. They would go out of business.
The suppliers could eat the cost for a while until it settles down. But again, someone's going to have to eat the cost, and it shouldn't be the consumers, is what Albertsons is saying. And
who
I
always
appreciate
does it?
for that.
Who always eats it?
Well, exactly. Exactly.
What the response from the White House about, I want to go back to that Amazon showing potentially.
They're backing down from that, though. Did you see that? Did you hear that?
You just said it.
Yeah.
I know. Going back to the Amazon, the tariffs, and the threat of it being on there, and the line item of tariffs and us showing that people that purchase from Amazon would see that. Now, yes, they're backing down right now. But before they backed down, the White House said that this was a political attack.
Yes.
And so I just
Hostile.
wonder,
even,
are they that good to make you follow them? Like, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And so what I'm saying is that what is happening in our country in the first 100 days is nothing but chaos, nothing but confusion. And oh, by the way, it's a fact that people have lost from their 401k in the last 100 days. It is a fact. There are people, U.S. citizens, being deported from this country. Like, these are facts. I'm sick and tired of what it's going to take for people to really figure it out is a whole lot of hurt. The only way for us as a country to find out that regime that's in office is for a whole lot of hurt to happen in this country. And it's sad because it shouldn't be this way. But that's what happens when you put a criminal in the White House. You see, when I say things like that, and some people might get triggered, and some people might like, oh, gee, you can't say that. He's a damn criminal. And this is what you expect. And what breaks my heart are the people that are living paycheck to paycheck that will be impacted by this. But because you own the libs, it's fine.
Either that, or you believed him when he said on day one your egg prices were going to go down.
War in Ukraine would be solved.
Or that Ukraine would be solved
Said
on
it
day
84
one.
times. The truth is hostile to this administration.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on because the Seattle Police Department is back in the news this morning. First, we're going to start with reasons to celebrate because I want to start with the positives. After losing hundreds of officers in recent years, SPD is seeing a big jump in recruitment.
SPD says so far this year, 60 officers have been hired. That's compared to 84 in all of last year. And 160 others are in the background stage of the process. Here's SPD Chief Sean Barnes.
Get them through field training and put them where we need them the most, which is in patrol, which is certainly, I believe, the backbone of policing.
Chief Barnes says SPD has also been contacted by officers in other cities and other states looking to make a lateral move to SPD. In Soto, James Lynch, KIRO News Radio.
Ursula, these improvements came after a $916 million pledge for public safety and changes to the recruitment process. Tip of the hat to SPD. Tip of the hat to the new chief, Sean Barnes. You getting it done. 60 now, 10 so far last year this time. What y'all want me to say? SPD. Tip of the hat.
Yeah. Even more good news, after increases in violence and theft during the pandemic, crime is dropping in Seattle and around King County. As of April 25th, SPD recorded just over 11,300 property crimes, violent offenses, and others, including rape, robbery, and homicide. But if the city continues this pace, it is on track to see about 22% fewer such crimes this year compared with what was reported in 2024. And not just violent crime being down, but vehicle theft is also down about 32% so far this year compared with that span in 2024. So that is more good news.
Good news.
But unfortunately...
Oh, come on, Ursula. Come on.
All the good news at SPD is tempered by yet another legal claim against the department. This time, former Chief of Staff Jamie Tompkins is demanding that the city pay her $3 million for pain and suffering caused by what she calls rumors that she was in a sexual relationship with ex-police chief Adrian Diaz. Fox 13 reports that Tompkins made this claim in a demand letter her attorney sent to the mayor last November to determine whether the city wanted to negotiate a settlement. And as it turns out, the mayor's office has agreed to enter mediation later in June. In this letter, Tompkins blames SPD employees for falsely claiming that she was sleeping with Diaz after leaving her job as a news anchor at Fox 13 to work for him. And she claims that those rumors made her a target for harassment, in particular about how attractive she is. Her attorney says Tompkins felt so violated, degraded, and dehumanized, and she is not the same person that she was when she began working with the city 18 months ago. I need to point out that she resigned from her position a while back. I want to say, I'll have to look at it. But the city of Seattle is already in negotiations about settling with former Chief Diaz, who has filed his own $10 million claim against the mayor and several other city employees.
Don't you got a list, Ursula? Don't you got a list of everybody that's suing SPD? So that's what happens. You go to work for SPD. And by the way, all of the men and women that work for SPD, thank you for what you do. We really appreciate what you do. But I got to tell you something. There is no company, organization, or agency that is as sloppy as SPD right now. It is terrible.
The new chief is having to do a lot of cleanup. And we're talking about what happens when you have poor leadership for a number of years. You talked about the lawsuits. Aside from Chief Diaz's lawsuit and Jamie Tompkins' claim, there are 4 female officers who have filed $1 million claims. There are also other officers who have filed discrimination lawsuits. Poor leadership is costing taxpayers a lot of money.
Who needs Bravo TV and all these housewives show when you got the workplace drama? SPD is its own reality show. And by the way, after you're done, you're going to be able to retire because you're going to be able to sue the city. I ain't never seen a situation where people have to be forced to resign or they get fired. And by the way, on my way out, let me sue you. What the heck? Y'all okay with this?
It's unfortunate. No, I wish that the city would fight it. As a resident, and a voter in Seattle, and I work here. I'm going to repeat it over and over again because a lot of people have opinions when they don't have to be the ones that are footing the bill.
Ursula, do you think that this is happening? You think that's happening because of defund the police? You think a lot of people decide?
I think it's happening because there was horrible leadership. For too many years at SPD.
Defund the police gets blamed for everything.
There were some city council members who were
it's
really pushing that.
Is Shama Sawant the reason why SPD has been going through this?
Some of it. But I'm going to say that I'm going to go back to from Diaz and the other previous leadership. Yeah, I think we're paying because of that lack of leadership.
We're going to talk about the Tacoma police disregards ICE detainee 911 calls. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. I've recently talked with Dr. Mixon about his approach to proactively focusing on prevention. Dr. Mixon, I first met you in 2009, and I went in there and I told you I wasn't feeling well, couldn't gain any muscle mass, couldn't sleep well, I was stressed out, and you looked at me and you said, yeah, I know what your problem is.
And all we did was we measured your values and we moved your values back to those of a nice, healthy 25-year-old man.
I have taken your blood work to my doctor, and he was shocked. He couldn't believe the depth in which you study my blood.
We need to draw a distinction between living a long time and getting old. And that's what longevity is all about, is we are here to do the measurements and help you fix those problems.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Did you know that nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all? That may be the reason why your home is way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter. It may also be the reason that your energy bills are sky high. Right now, Insulation Northwest is offering a free inspection of your home's insulation. This is a $199 value and it's absolutely free, no obligation. Just call today and Insulation Northwest will arrange a time that works with your schedule. We'll perform a thorough exam of your home's insulation and give you the advice you need to start saving thousands. Everyone who calls today will also receive a free infrared screening of your home using the latest technology. This will help reveal any hidden flaws in your home's protective energy blanket. What do you have to lose? It only takes about an hour and it's absolutely free. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com. Right now at Les Schwab Tires, it's the Best for Less sales event. Save up to $120 instantly on a set of 4 tires. Choose from a wide selection of some of our longest-lasting, best-performing tires. Plus, you'll get America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no-hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. Just another way you'll get more from less. Stop by a store or shop online at leschwab.com. Limited time offer while supplies last. See leschwab.com/sale for details.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I've never had any complaints about my performance in the bedroom. But after turning 40, I noticed my libido just wasn't what it used to be. That's when I reached out to Revive Health. Their team knew exactly what I needed, which is why today, my wife and I are both more satisfied than ever.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, text BOOST to 65555 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com to schedule your appointment. Message and data rates may apply. Message frequency varies. Text help for help. Text stop to cancel. See privacy policy at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/privacy policy. For info on how opt-in info will be used and terms and conditions at ReviveMen'sHealth.com/terms of use for terms of short code service.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave. Oh, what a beautiful day. This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant. How much more? Secret is the GOAT. Because nothing fights sweat better. Stay fresher under pressure.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. Investigators are trying to determine what caused a semi-truck to crash and burst into flames this morning in the northbound lanes of I-5 in Tacoma. Trooper John Totillo says the truck driver died.
There are no other vehicles directly involved in the crash. There are several vehicles on the southbound side that struck debris that was in the roadway. No one is injured as a result of that.
All northbound lanes are closed for the investigation. Because of the U.S.-China trade war, we could see shortages that are more severe than what we saw during the pandemic. That warning from Port of Seattle Commissioner Ryan Calkins, who says both Seattle and Tacoma ports are already seeing significantly fewer container ships.
For certain commodities, it's probably weeks, not months. Even if we resolved it tomorrow, there's now a backlog in the system that is going to have to work its way through.
He says the commissioners from both ports are exploring opportunities in Vietnam and Korea where tariffs are less restrictive than in China. Amazon is pushing back against a report claiming the company planned to show you just how much tariffs boosted the price of each item you purchased. An Amazon spokesperson tells GeekWire this was never approved and is not going to happen. Earlier, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt blasted Amazon.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
Again, Amazon denies it was going to reveal the impact of tariffs on your purchases, but it is anticipating customers are going to buy less. CBS's Michael Wallace says that means UPS is cutting 20,000 jobs.
The delivery giant will also close 73 of its buildings by the end of June. UPS is cutting costs after agreeing to slash the number of packages it will deliver for Amazon by more than half. Amazon accounted for about 12% of UPS's revenue. UPS says the cut should save it $3.5 billion this year.
Americans' confidence in the economy slumped for the fifth straight month. Economist Gus Fauché.
Where consumers think the economy is headed, those are the numbers that have really tanked. And so that indicates that they're worried not just about the way things are, but more importantly about how things are going to be 3 months, 6 months down the road.
The Conference Board says its consumer confidence index fell 7.9% in April to its lowest reading since May of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 276 points, NASDAQ ahead 29. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Tacoma, that deadly semi-truck crash investigation has all lanes on northbound I-5 closed near South 84th Street. One lane is still closed southbound as people look for alternate routes. Traffic is heavy on 512 through Parkland and on State Route 167 up onto I-405. Travel time, Olympia to Tacoma, 1 hour. Tacoma to Olympia, 35 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle is just under an hour. Renton to Bellevue will take you about 43 minutes. Traffic brought to you by Seattle Sports. Search Seattle Sports on YouTube and click subscribe to get fresh video content daily. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 53 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this Tuesday morning. Our text line is open for you, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. You can check us out on YouTube as well. And right now we want to focus on what is going on with Tacoma Police because a new report says that they have ignored allegations of sexual abuse and assault from detainees at the ICE Northwest Processing Center over the last 10 years. This report was done by the University of Washington's Center for Human Rights, and it has found that ICE staff routinely deterred Tacoma officers from investigating, and that the department itself frequently claimed that it had no jurisdiction to do so. Angelina Godoy is the chair of the Center for Human Rights, and she tells King 5 News the lack of jurisdiction argument is just bogus.
To be clear, they do have jurisdiction over this.
They do. They did not deny that they have jurisdiction over this facility, even though their officers are denying it routinely in response to calls for help.
So this review went over 10 years of 911 calls, and it found that there were serious disparities when it came to who the Tacoma officers would respond to. If the complaints were made by the detainees, they tended to be ignored. If they were made by staff, then they were given more credence. And over the last decade, specifically, Tacoma Police responded to and investigated nearly 90% of the 911 calls placed by the staff, but only 36% of calls from prisoners. Javon Gordon has been held at the detention center since January of 2024, and he spoke to King 5 News from a prison phone, telling them that he was assaulted by guards back in November.
That's when they take the opportunity to rough me up, slam, and I took a knee trying to de-escalate the situation. As I try to take myself down, they slammed me to the floor. I was already in cuffs, handcuffed behind my back, my legs are shackled. Then all of a sudden, another officer kneed me in my right side of my ribs.
So when Tacoma Police showed up, they decided not to enter the facility to investigate, and instead they said the center was not their jurisdiction.
The staff here turned them around and said, oh, they'll keep it in-house.
So, again, in cases of physical or sexual assault, ICE's own rules dictate that an investigation by both internal and external law enforcement is required. But Godoy, who led this research, says that is basically not happening right now.
We found that in a very large number of cases, Tacoma Police simply declined to investigate.
So Tacoma Police was asked about this, and they issued a statement saying that Tacoma PD is reviewing and evaluating all this information that was presented in the report to provide a response. But this raises questions, first of all, about this detention center, how it is run. It gets federal funds, but it is privately owned. So it raises questions about that. But just hearing that over a decade, so many of these reports have been basically overlooked or just not investigated, that's stunning.
Okay. It's stunning. It's shocking to hear you tell us that. But then when you hear that, and some of us think like, oh, well, yeah, I totally believe that. Because sometimes there are situations where people believe that if you're detained, that you're not a human anymore. There are some people that believe
you don't have rights.
That people that just really believe that, and especially sometimes if you are an undocumented immigrant, right? There are people that look at you as less than, right? And we have that happening, and I'm sure we're going to be talking about at some point the sheriff of Pierce County at some point today. But there's just people that just looks down on them. So it does not shock me that there are over a decade of calls and incidents overlooked, not responded to, because sometimes people don't care.
So what are your thoughts, though, about privately funded prisons?
I've always had issue with that. That's been a thing. That's a thing, right? I've always felt a certain type of way of privately owned prisons.
Because there have been efforts to try to get more oversight or even to close some of these in this particular facility, and it has been getting a lot of pushback. And I am hoping. I mean, I kudos to the University of Washington. A report like this is tedious. It takes a long time.
Right.
But I'm hoping that in raising awareness, that it will spur some action. My fear, though, is with the current climate, is it going to spur any action, or is it going to be like, oh, well, in the grand scheme of things, why do we care? These are detainees. These are people who are alleged to have committed a whole bunch of crimes. And in the grand scheme of things, why should we care?
Because these are still people.
Exactly. Well,
and like, regardless of your feelings on private prisons or immigration, criticism of GEO Group in this detention center is often couched as open borders policy or not wanting to get rid of criminals out of the country. That's not the case. But this facility has been refusing health and safety inspections. They have refused to let people in to see the conditions people are held in. And G, to your point about not caring what is happening in prison, you know what struck me about this story? How many cases of abuse or assault in our government-run prisons do we ever hear about? And who investigates those? Generally, what is it? The guards and the staff inside the prison? Like, do we expect that people should have to get raped if they go to jail? Do we expect that they should be beaten and assaulted by fellow inmates? Like, I don't think that should be part of the deal. And we need separate law enforcement to investigate that stuff, too.
Yeah, I've always been against some private prisons, man.
Now, ICE is responding to this report, and they said the department has zero tolerance for all forms of sexual abuse or assault against individuals in the agency's custody. Again, though, this report shows something is not happening. And right now, that is, these reports of heinous crimes are largely being ignored. Mm-hmm. And we cannot be okay with that.
No, not at all. Good stuff, Ursula. Coming up next, y'all want to talk about bears? Because there's some Issaquah hikers that had a close call with a black bear.
Gee, you know that there are people who listen to us for advice on what to do in the wild.
By the way, since, real quick on that topic of prisons and everything like that, and detainees, and if you ever want a chance, go watch the 14th Amendment. It was a Netflix movie. It really takes you deep into that. It's really good. Teach you a lot. All right, so let's talk about black bears next. Gee Ursula.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
Here's what people are clamoring to buy right now. Poop.
from the Seattle Zoo. Zoodoo. You can get a zebra, you can get giraffe, a poodoos. You ever heard of that animal in your life?
Never in my life.
Laura, can you look that up?
It looks like a tiny Bambi.
I don't know how much poop you're going to get from that thing.
That's why it's rare and costly, my friend.
Jake and Spike
Weekdays, noon to 3.
on KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM. Watch the Jake and Spike Show live on YouTube.
It's time. The new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort is open. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Tig, tell us about it.
Our new phase features incredible extra-large RV lots with amazing unobstructed views. And talk about privacy, nothing will be developed behind them. And these lots start at just $80,000.
Natchez RV Resort has 300 days of sunshine and year-round family fun. Pickleball, playground, dog park, miles of recreational trails. Plus, you have fishing, hunting, skiing, and golf nearby. And don't forget wine tasting. Yakima Valley has been voted the #1 best wine region in the U.S.
Natchez RV Resort also features a 4,300 square foot clubhouse with gourmet kitchen, great room, fitness center, showers, and laundry. Plus, the brand new saltwater swimming pool and hot tub are open and ready for you.
Get your perfect pick of Natchez RV Resort's premium view lots, starting at just $80,000. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
Hi, it's John Curley. You know, I've been a patient of Longevity Medical Clinic since 2009, and Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. You know what's amazing, doctor? The feelings that you have after just a couple of months. You sleep better. Your strength and vitality, it is evident that it works. It's really a mindset, though, Dr. Mixon, because a lot of people, well, this is what's supposed to happen.
Let us help you be stronger, faster, leaner, smarter, sexier, but most important, happier. I'm less impressed by how many years I might live, but how much I live during my years. You know, the option is here. Nobody's going to make you go to Longevity, but the opportunity is there, and all you have to do is take advantage of it. I don't know why anybody would not want to do what we do.
And that's where Longevity Medical Clinic comes in. So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
When the heat's an 11, cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
Dayandnight.net.
This is the time to plan ahead, so you stay cool this summer. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Now save $50 off our pre-summer AC tune-up.
Dayandnight.net.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
State officials say there's a $12 billion hole in the budget, and fixing it is an emergency. But just a few years ago, the state had a budget surplus just as large. And only a few months ago, state government added billions more in spending. Tax collections are at record high. Some state officials say tax revenues are below average. Not quite adding up. To see the numbers for yourself and learn more about the state budget, visit budgetbreakdown.org. That's budgetbreakdown.org.
Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. You may have known us for our unique cabinet refacing projects, but I'd like to introduce our full bathroom remodeling service. New tub, shower, floors, counters, and of course cabinetry. Same commitment to quality and value, same full service, just another way to serve the folks of Puget Sound. Call today for a free in-home consultation. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600, 425-485-1600, or heritagehomecraft.com.
Old windows cost you money and security. Lake Washington Windows and Doors installs energy-efficient, high-security windows that lower your bills and increase protection. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Choose LakeWashingtonWindows.com today.
Right now, have ultra-efficient, clean technology windows installed and pay zero down with zero interest and zero payments for 18 months. Only from Lake Washington Windows and Doors. And they'll even pay your sales tax. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Down in Pierce County, two forces that be are at odds about something. We will be just talking about that in the 10 o'clock hour. And Ursula's right. When people want to hear about the wildlife, they come to the Gee and Ursula Show because they know that Ursula is going to say something on the right track, and Gee is a wild card.
Just like they come to me for my sports takes.
You know what? That's a very good point, Chef. Very, very well done there. So, Ursula, here's what happened. There was a hiker on the Puget Power Trail that encountered a mother black bear and her two cubs. Just want to remind everybody, nearly 1,500 bear calls were reported last year. So it's clear that bears are on the move and looking for some food. Alexander Polt wrote, quote, "Since the path wasn't completely straight, I didn't see them until the last second when I turned. My heart definitely started beating fast, and I started to feel the adrenaline. I realized after a few seconds that the mama bear didn't seem aggressive. It was more standing her ground and patrolling." Y'all know this is a lucky man. Patty and Vince, Tiger Mountain bikers, say their biking community is on alert.
Pretty much just be aware that they are out there. The cubs are out with the mothers, and you want to give them a wide berth.
Having a little bell and being sure that you're, keeping your eyes looking around and being aware of your surroundings.
Ursula, I'm going to tell you something. Pretty soon, we will have bears running the neighborhood barbecue. And I'd say that we are one cookout away from a furry showdown. We're getting close.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It seems like it's in the news more and more. Mm-hmm. It's happening more and more as we develop more neighborhoods in areas that really are bear country, right?
Right.
And then also the fact that people are either keeping their garbage out, which is great food for the bears, or they're actively feeding bears, apparently, which you shouldn't do. You're supposed to make sure that your garbage is secure so that they don't have a food source at your home.
Now, Ursula, I'm finding out from the people, because people, they love to text in and be like, "Gee," they like to tell me facts. Is it true that the black bear is the nicest bear? Because they say they eat the fruit. The omnivores, they're cool.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you that the black, I don't know if they're the friendliest bear. I just know that if I encounter a bear, there are certain things that we need to do. You're not supposed to run, which is what I did when I saw a coyote. So I made the mistake of running. Mm-hmm. Don't climb a tree or don't feed the bear. You're supposed to slowly back away, make loud noises, and make yourself appear large. This is a black bear. This is what I'm looking. I'm looking at it right now. Chat GPT, don't get me. don't fail me now.
Now, okay, so the black bear. So
you have bear spray too. Do you have bear spray?
Yes.
Wait. Time out. Ursula, you asked that question with so much confidence. You asked that question
because I remember that you pointed out that you did go on a hike. So I don't want to assume that you never go on hikes. And I also know for a fact that you did go camping once with your luggage. Mm-hmm. You took your luggage out. Yeah. I think you bought a tent. By the way, I got a tent and mattresses. Mm-hmm. So I'm getting closer to the fact my son is back and he said, "Mom, we're going to find some hikes for you to go on with us this spring and summer." So I'm looking forward to that. But I need to be prepared should I encounter a bear.
I don't have bear spray. As a matter of fact, is it fair to say I'm probably the most unprepared hiker that all of you will know?
Yes.
I barely got a water bottle. You feel me?
Yes. If we are camping, if we're doing a big group camping event, I'm going to you if I want 800.
Comfort, if you want comfort.
Thread count when it comes to sheets on a fluffy mattress. Yeah. I'm coming to you for that. Or good food. I'm coming to you for that.
So Ursula, what's the order?
Amongst us, I'm coming to chef when it comes to how do I really need to survive out here in the wilderness.
So
I'll start your fire, no worries.
now is this accurate? 512, that's a Texas area code. Just text in and says if you go from nice to mean, it goes like this: black, brown, Kodiak, polar bear.
I've heard the same.
Okay.
There's a saying, and I know it's if it's white, good night, which doesn't sound good.
No, that's not. Yeah, I'm not saying that. That's what.
Chef, am I wrong?
What I really like about this.
Grizzly. I don't usually call. Most people don't call them Kodiaks, but yeah.
And by the way, I know you all are listening. Like, I bet you G didn't suggest this topic. Actually, it was me, because what I love about this, because I don't know anything about the wildlife. I'm not outdoors, and like I said, come to me for advice on wildlife is like going to chef on advice about sports. I get it. It's rough for me, but I get to learn, and I had no idea. Black, brown, Kodiak to polar bear. So I'm staying away from the polar bears.
Okay, so regarding bears, the quote is, and don't quote us, but the quote is, if it's brown, lay down. If it's black, fight back. If it's white, good night.
Yeah, I'm not comfortable saying that quote. Yeah, see, Ursula?
If you encounter a brown bear, you should lay down and play dead.
This reminds
you will
me.
not win a fight with a brown bear.
This reminds me of corporate meetings that we have here at the company. We have you ask those questions, and you be the one.
Someone needs to ask the question. Everyone's sitting there just like dead weight.
How did this segment become speciest? Unbelievable.
I know.
Sounds like the Bears don't have an HR department.
No.
Nick, do you have bear spray?
No, we only have black bears around here. You don't have to worry.
Okay.
Remember the saying.
See, bear spray would come in handy not just for bears, but for other encounters that you don't want.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Comes in handy on Cap Hill.
I'm gonna safely get myself out of this segment.
Okay.
Safely, because I got about 3 or 4 of them. That's on the top of my head right now. Okay, so coming up next, you got to come back for this, because there is a showdown between 2 down in Pierce County. We will tell you and explain that to you next. Gee Ursula.
She's local.
I grew up in Olympia.
She's experienced.
I've been very lucky to be in Seattle for 23 years.
Now, Manda Factor is home on KIRO Newsradio.
This is where I want to be. It's where I've always wanted to be.
Experience matters. Experience for yourself. Seattle's Morning News with Charlie Harger and Manda Factor. Every morning 6 to 9 on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
Hey, how's your money situation? Are you ready for retirement? Well, if you want to know what the pros are doing to make wealth multiply and retire like royalty, then you need to listen to this show, Sound Path Through Retirement, with Ben Koval and Matt Leibarger. Get your money right and tune in every weekend, Saturdays at 10 a.m. and noon on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM.
It's Jim Singletary, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, here to tell you the right way to choose a roofer. And it's not by choosing the lowest bid. Just comparing numbers? Terrible idea. A low price doesn't tell you if the job will be done right, and it definitely doesn't tell you anything about the contractor. Instead, treat hiring a roofer like a job interview. Ask them, why did my old roof fail early? What's the right solution for me, and why? Have you been around for at least 10 years? A new roof is a huge investment, and the job shouldn't go to the lowest bidder. It should go to the most qualified. At RoofSmart, we've got over a decade of experience, a team of more than 50 full-time pros, and real answers, not just numbers. Plus, we're certified, insured, and properly licensed. We'd love to apply for your roofing job. Call 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com today. That's 206-487-4877 or online at GetRoofSmart.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
It may be the most noble profession.
Come on.
It's the work of heroes.
Heroes?
You want to live without plumbing?
Well, no.
Then you need plumbers.
Right.
Thing is, so do I.
You need plumbers.
Smiles, actually.
Smiling plumbers?
Or someone who smiles and wants to become an Apollo plumber.
A smile. That's what it takes?
Skills are something we can teach.
Sure.
But a positive attitude comes from within.
That's a big part of being an Apollo plumber.
The biggest part.
What else?
A desire to learn and serve.
Just like every Apollo plumber.
As they learn, so shall they earn.
Earn?
Apollo plumbers can earn 6 figures.
Enough to make me smile.
We believe you get what you give.
Give a smile.
And Apollo service.
Get a smile.
A well-paid smile.
Driving one of those big blue Apollo trucks.
That's the goal.
Does seem pretty noble.
It's important, satisfying work.
And you're looking now?
There's always room for another smile around here.
On the Apollo Plumbing team.
Apply at apolloplumbing.com.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spring into deals and save on seasonal projects at Lowe's. Right now, get 4 select 8-pack annuals for just $10. Plus, get a free 60-volt Toro battery when you purchase a select 60-volt Toro electric mower. Don't miss out on these fresh spring savings. Shop in-store or online today. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 4/30 while supplies last. Actual plant size and selection varies by location. Excludes Alaska.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. That's Revive, REVIBE, menshealth.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathat. President Trump goes to a key state that he won last fall, bringing at least some tariff relief to a key sector of the economy. CBS's Natalie Brand.
President Trump closed his campaign in battleground Michigan and returns tonight to mark 100 days. The trip to the key automotive hub comes as the administration could be easing tariffs on the auto industry. CBS News has learned the president will sign an executive order today easing the 25% tariff for steel and aluminum for automakers, while the separate tariff on imported cars is expected to remain in place.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent indicates trade deals are likely soon with other countries in the trade war.
What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing, and as we start moving forward announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But, certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
Well, hours after the White House called it a hostile political action, Amazon says it will not post what tariffs are costing customers on some products. The company says the plan was considered but will not happen. Police in Chatham, Illinois say a 44-year-old woman was at the wheel of a car that hit a building where an after-school camp was underway. CBS's Ian Lee reports authorities say they don't think it was a targeted attack.
I need at least 4 ALS ambulances to this location now.
State police say at least 4 were killed, including 2 7-year-olds, an 8-year-old, and an 18-year-old. All were female, while several others were injured. Authorities say 3 of the deceased were struck outside the building and another inside, leaving a gaping hole on the side of the structure.
They're cleaning up today in some states in the upper Midwest where tornado damage is reported. Amy Eric lives in Kenyon, Minnesota, where some things were shaken up, but damage is minimal.
Everybody's safe. Vehicles are safe. We really lucked out that nothing hit our house. You couldn't got luckier than we did.
On the Health Watch today, reason perhaps to raise a glass.
Chinese researchers who've analyzed a big British patient database say you can help prevent sudden cardiac arrest by eating more fruit, maintaining a healthy weight and a positive outlook on life, and drinking champagne. That's right. Champagne and white wine seemed to be associated with a lower risk of death by sudden heart failure. Until now, only red wine was thought to possess such properties. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
And checking the action on Wall Street, right now the Dow is up 130 points. The S&P and NASDAQ are trading lower. NASDAQ is down 24. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
A fiery crash shuts down I-5. Details in a moment, but first in Tacoma, that crash investigation has all lanes of northbound I-5 closed near South 84th Street. One lane is still closed southbound. As people look for alternate routes, traffic is still pretty heavy on 512 through Parkland, on State Route 167 and I-405. Travel time Olympia to Tacoma is 48 minutes. That's about 20 longer than typical. In Renton, a disabled vehicle is blocking a lane on I-405 northbound at Northeast 44th Street. Travel time Renton to Bellevue, 55 minutes, about 20 longer than usual. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. The State Patrol says a semi-truck crashed on I-5 northbound in Tacoma, killing the driver. Trooper John DeTillo says crews have removed part of the Jersey barrier and power poles that scattered across the southbound lanes, but northbound?
We still have to document the evidence around the semi-truck. We have to get the semi-truck removed. We have to have the driver removed from the semi as well. It is going to be an extended closure on the northbound side.
He says crews say the semi-truck is coming apart in chunks. A medical examiner confirms 2 people found dead after a Gig Harbor house fire died from gunshot wounds. The fire sparked the night of April 8th just outside Gig Harbor at a home on 14th Avenue Northwest near 160th. Deputies were told neighbors heard a loud explosion before that fire. We're learning more about the 3 people found shot to death in a Newcastle home Thursday night.
The King County Medical Examiner's Office says a 14-year-old boy was among those killed. A 41-year-old woman died from gunshot wounds, and a 44-year-old man took his own life. Their bodies were found in a townhouse on Southeast 75th Street, just off of 129th Place Southeast. Neighbors tell KIRO News Radio a family of 4 lived there. Frank Lindsay, KIRO News Radio.
Seattle's mayor says the SPD is making significant progress in fixing the staffing shortage it's been struggling with for years. Bruce Harrell says the police department has hired 60 new cops and is on pace to eclipse last year's total of 84.
Public safety is one of the highest priorities that our people in Seattle want. So as we calibrate and balance our budget, that is a lens by which we will make decisions.
Seattle hopes to hire 200 officers by the end of the year. Alaska Airlines is looking to ease congestion at SeaTac Airport by expanding operations in Portland. The airline tells the Seattle Times Portland is a strategic relief valve to handle overflow from SeaTac, which has been facing capacity challenges. Coming back for a second season on HBO Max, the post-apocalyptic drama The Last of Us, and this time Seattle will serve as the setting. You'll see places like Lumen Field and the Space Needle, but most of the show was actually filmed in Vancouver, BC, which offers production companies bigger tax breaks. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 53 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning, everybody. This is Gee and Ursula Show. Happy Tuesday to you, April 29th. Good morning to you, Ursula. You know, Heather Bosch brought up The Last of Us. That's on season 2 on Max. And all I can...
another thing that you watch?
Yeah, my buddy Joel. That's all. Yes, it's a show that I watch. It's a really good show.
You know what I've just realized? Because
you don't watch any TV.
And you watch a ton.
A ton. I do.
I need to catch up.
That's
I need to slow my roll in terms of my social life outside of the home and watch more TV.
Okay. in order for me to get tired at night, I think it's because of what we do.
Yes.
And people says, "Oh, you're so angry." Well, there's a lot of stuff to be angry about, but I can't shut off.
Yeah.
So I need something to take my mind off things.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get that.
But I do watch a lot of shows.
I do get
but
that.
But The Last of Us, Joel, that's all. Oh, man.
Okay, I need to ask a question of all you, and it's going to be part of our conversation coming up here in this next segment. How are you feeling about how things are going in the state of Washington compared to last year? Are you feeling better or are you feeling worse, and why? And so there is a reason that I'm asking this question, and it'll become apparent here in just a couple of minutes. As always, we invite you to join us on our KIRO Radio text line, 888-973-5476, 888-973-KIRO.
What's new at 10?
So if your summer weekend plans involve a trip through Everett, buckle up. And our conduit when it comes to all things traffic is Chris Sullivan, and he joins us live now. So what are we dealing with?
Well, primarily it's for the month of May. We have a pretty heavy construction schedule for SR 529, which is the main freeway that goes adjacent to I-5 between Everett and Marysville. And 4 out of the 5 weekends in May, including this weekend, they're going to have full closures, and not just weekends. We're talking 4-day closures. So northbound the first 2 weeks, southbound the other 2 weekends. And so from 11 o'clock on Friday night to 11 o'clock Tuesday night, northbound 529 is going to be closed entirely. So you will not be able to drive from Everett into Marysville. Switch that around a couple weeks in the month, later in the month, they'll switch it around and close southbound, so you will not be able to go from Marysville down into Everett. 4 days each, not just a weekend. They're replacing the guts of the Steamboat Slough. There are 2 bridges there over the Steamboat Slough. One of them's 90 years old, the other 98, the other one's 70. So they need to replace those. It's part of what they have to do. And so every weekend, with the exception of Memorial Day weekend, there are going to be major closures on that side back road that a lot of the locals use between Marysville and Everett. And again, 2 days of the work week involved in this. So yeah, that's a big thing to keep in mind if you travel, especially this time of year. A lot of people have soccer events and baseball events and all sorts of events up there. So this will mean a lot more pressure on I-5.
Sully, you're the traffic guy, man. What's going on? There's traffic is increasing by a lot.
Oh yeah.
What's up, man? I know construction here, construction there. People go back to work. Well, is this going to get worse?
A horrible accident this morning.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's things you can't really do anything about that. We'll wait to see what happens in the investigation.
Are things going to get worse, Sully?
Oh yeah, of course, because more and more people are going back to work. More and more people are driving in their cars. A lot of people who took transit are now driving in their cars because transit is not as easy as it was, especially for those of us up in my county, in Snohomish County, where they got rid of the 1-seat trips on the bus. You used to be able to get on a bus in Everett and get it all the way into Seattle. Now they take you to Linwood, where you get off that bus, get onto a light rail train, and then take that to someplace, then get on the bus again. And people are just like, no, I'm not going to do that. So they're driving solo. So people who used to be on transit, a small number, are now driving by themselves, and other people are just driving by themselves anyway, because maybe they only go to work 3 out of 5 days, or maybe 4 out of 5. So yeah, there are going to be more and more people out there, and we've got a bunch of construction coming up. Don't forget, Revive I-5 starts over the Ship Canal Bridge later this year. So yeah, it's going to be it's not going to be getting any easier. Fortunately, we're coming into summer, which generally means we have fewer drivers total because of vacations and things. School's out, especially when UW gets out. We start seeing a lot less commuting into that campus. But yeah, it's not going to get much better, if at all.
Okay, you know what? We're going to take advantage of the fact that you're here.
No, great.
Because we want to have a conversation about coaching.
I heard your conversation yesterday.
Yes, and this was mostly a conversation between Gee and Chef.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because Chef is now a baseball coach. Is it T-ball still?
No,
they're coach pitch.
You're full.
Yeah, we're kid pitch now.
Okay, so now you're a kid pitch. And you had said something, Chef, yesterday, and I thought, man, this sounds exactly like Sully.
Well, we were talking about some of the mistakes that that coaches make, especially if they have a kid on the team. And we were discussing, the dads who put their kids first in the lineups. They're always starting. Like, they're on the all-star team because dad coaches the all-star team. And I had said, Chris, that as a dad, like, I'm I'm pretty sensitive about not showing favoritism to my child. So if he's acting up, he's definitely going to be the first one that's disciplined for it. And G clapped back at me, said, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to have a conversation with you guys as folks looking back on your careers with your kids, coaching them about what you learned, the mistakes you made, and G, why I'm wrong about being tougher on my own kid than everyone else.
My son didn't flourish in sports until I stopped coaching him.
Ooh. So go into depth, because I will be honest, before I really knew you, I had heard about how much influence you had and impact you had on your son in terms of coaching. And how I think that you were criticized by a lot of folks, right? I mean, essentially on social media, et cetera, about, hey, maybe your involvement had something to do. So, I mean, this is the first time. That's big.
That's a topic. That's a good point, and you're right. And I'm going to bring that topic back at 10:30 because that's a good point. Because I'm going to show you the difference. You know, Serena Williams' father, LeVar Ball. Anyway, Sully, I don't know what your experience was, but it is really hard to separate. When do you separate coach and dad, right? So you're on the field, you're coaching your son hard. Then you get in the car, or son or daughter, then you get in the car and you're talking about what happened at practice, and then you're eating dinner, and then you're talking about what happened there. So when is the time, when does your child, when is there a separation of, okay, this is coach time, and now this is dad time? The truth is, most families don't do that. Most dads feel like, and by the way, I know this because I did it. You're constantly just on them and on them and on them. The last time that I went at my son was when he did not make an all-star team down in L.A. Okay, don't judge me. I cussed him out.
Oh, no.
I cussed him out, told him all kinds of things that I shouldn't have said. No, I didn't want him to say nothing, didn't want him to talk the entire time, taking the rental car back, getting on the airplane. I'm telling him I'm wasting my money, doing all this stuff. It was the worst thing. Now, I'll admit, I was a little overboard. So I'm not saying most parents are like me. I was ridiculous. It wasn't, that was the last moment, and that was 6th grade that I said, I'm done.
Yeah.
No more coaching. And that's when he thrived.
Wow.
I didn't go that far. I'm a little bit more closer to the chef model in that what you said yesterday is the way that in today's climate, you cannot yell at children, or you cannot even give them constructive criticism, or they cry and fall down in a lot of cases because they've never been taught to fail. No, because they've never been taught to fail. Parents do not let their kids fail. You finished, you
finished last,
you got
you
one
get
inning in, great, here's your trophy.
Dion.
It's you get all these accolades for being average, right? So when you need to instruct a kid, and as a coach, even if they're 9, 10, 11 years old, you have a job to do. A lot of parents consider you a babysitter because I'm doing it for free. But I yelled at Tommy and instructed Tommy harder than my son, others, because I couldn't discipline the other kids on the team the same way.
So you
if Ursula, if you were
example.
screwing up and Tom did the littlest of thing, I would call him out, because the other kids would then realize if he's going to treat his kid like that, when he comes at me a little softer, I better pay attention. But then I took that overboard into, what's the difference between hurt and injured? Are you injured? Man, I need you to pitch next inning. I don't care that you just rolled your ankle into third base. I'm sitting there's the third base coach going, dude, you can't, you got to pitch next inning. He's like, Dad, it hurts. I go, no, I need you in there. I need you. At what point? At that point, I heard from the outfield, hey, coach, stop yelling at my kid that way. That was my wife.
Wow.
That one hit a little different.
Oh.
I was like, yeah.
Yeah. You need to back down.
I need to back that off.
Shout out to the families out there, the parents who have actually had real rifts within your relationship because of how you coached your child.
Yeah. I took that. That was a huge wake-up call. And I dialed back a little bit, and then to go to your next conversation is that I still coached him up to about probably through about 16 in baseball and on some select stuff, through football in 8th grade. Then he passed. Then he took on lawn snapping. I did so, but I had to go. I've got dad hat on. I've got coach hat on. But to a 14-year-old kid, they don't know the difference.
Nope.
Especially that ride home. So much so that I wrote a story at my North End, and I did a story on Father's Day when Tommy was a 12-year-old, or maybe an 11-year-old. I was the assistant coach for the Mill Creek Dodgers, Mill Creek Little League, go Mill Creek. The head coach, his son, and I did a story on why the coach's kid always gets it the worst. I interviewed the kids. And to hear my son go, yeah, Dad, you really lay into me. And I ran that on the air. I was like, okay. I got to kind of rearrange what I'm doing here. I know I'm not going to win we're not winning. We're not worried about, I'm not worried about winning or losing. I just want the kids to perform and get better. But yeah, the coach's kid gets it the worst. They do all the crap jobs. They carry all the stuff because you can't make the other kids do anything, or else the parents will get all over you that you're treating little Miss Johnny or Miss, Sarah wrong.
I think, though, that all three of you have an awareness of how it could be perceived, and then it sounds like all of you to some extent went overboard in trying to overcome that perception of the coach's kid getting special privileges. I mean, I've also seen it the reverse.
Yeah, I've never gave Tom anything. Are you kidding me?
You can also see it in reverse, where suddenly coach's kid, even though maybe they're a mediocre athlete, suddenly how is it that they always make the all-star team?
Correct. I never got.
But they do both. What they do is they yell at their kid because they really do want the best for their kid, and then they also put them on the all-star team as well. It's a slippery slope, and I'm telling you, when you find out and you hear about some of the kids that get burnt out, kids that are like they get to 6th, 7th grade, they're like, I don't want to play the sport anymore. This is a byproduct of that.
Yeah.
It got to the point where. I don't even know if I really told my son this, but it got to the point where sometimes I would on purpose say I can't go to his game, even though I could, and I would have something to do. I wanted to do that because I didn't want to be there because he would perform better with me not there.
Yeah, take the pressure. I used to
take the pressure off.
I played competitive tennis all through high school and part of college, and I used to tell my dad not to come to my tennis matches. I didn't want that I feel horrible about it, but it was like I was, in a way, trying to protect myself from disappointing him.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't have cared, but it is that thing that your kid feels, too, that additional pressure. So what is your advice, though? Because Chef's just in the infancy of his coaching.
I've got a couple of things. One, don't be afraid to still be hard on the kids, but you can't go overboard, and you got to be careful on that drive home with your kid. And or if you're maybe driving, I used to drive some kids back and forth, who needed help getting to practice. So you just got to watch that. Remember what the goal is here. For the kid to maybe love the sport and play it a little bit longer. Because as G said, most kids quit the game because of adults, not because they get tired of it. And the other thing is just, the likelihood of getting paid to do anything in down the line is a little better now. I mean, obviously G and Tommy, baby G and my Tommy, had some things, some opportunities. G now going into, to the NFL. There's some opportunities there, but again, chasing scholarships at 7th and 8th grade, it's no, you're in this to help the kids, and you just have to keep a focus on that. And winning and losing, no one remembers that. No one cares. They remember if the kid will remember if they had a good time. You still have to hold them accountable, but yeah, I'd slow my roll big time over how I reacted.
I think if I had to do it over again, hear me out. If I had to do it all over again, I would do the opposite of what I did as a father in sports. I would have fun because, unfortunately, my son played sports from 5 years old all the way through college. In the moments that I remember are that time down in L.A. yelling at him, right? Some of those times. If you're, as a dad, as a mom, whoever, and I know this sounds cliche. I know it was like, oh, yeah, it's easy to say. No. Just go have fun. Like, and the wins and losses, they're meeting friends, because there's so much that happens outside of the game than in the game. There's friends, there's relationships. These are going to be lifelong friends of your kids forever. Some of the parents that you meet, they're going to be friends for a long time. So I would say enjoy it. don't get too serious, because if you are someone that's going to do that, there is a great chance, most of the time, you're going to discourage your child from continuing to play. It usually does not work out. The reason why it worked out for us, it wasn't me, is because that dude loved the sport more than I thought he did. Trust me, it was nothing magic that I did. It was him. It's always the child. Nothing you can do or say. If it's going to happen, if you put cream in coffee, guess what it do? It rises to the top.
See, this is interesting because it's making me reflect on whether I should be harder on him. I guess one thing I'll say is that when it comes to discipline, it's not the on-field issues or mistakes that I see at this particular age group. It's largely 8 and 9-year-olds. It's the behavior off the field and the dugout and those kind of things. Like, kids these days are more out of control. And I'm not going to get in a kid's face and yell at them and like, oh, you need to, that kind of thing. But I don't think that kids aren't open to feedback and criticism and, hard feedback from their coach. My experience so far is that they are on themselves the most when they mess up.
Oh, without question.
It's the other behaviors that are out of control, and so few parents seem willing to call out their own kids when their kids are being the distraction.
That's what getting back to that, if I would give you one takeaway on this, is that the parents, again, don't let their kids fail. The kids have never experienced adversity. They're not getting that kind of feedback at home. And when you give it to them, it makes those parents self-reflect, and they don't like that. And then they're going to get mad at you for they know that they're not maybe doing the best parenting job when it comes to, I'll tell you what, kids got to fail. Kids got to fail. So the first time he loses his job, it's not the end of the world. Or his girlfriend dumps him, it's not the end of the world. You got to fail. Yep. You do so much better from all of your failures. As my longtime coaches tell me, you either win or you learn. Mm-hmm. Right? And we need a lot of learning from failure out there. Parents got to school, everything. They got to fail. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
That's where
not the end of the world.
See the most growth.
Yeah. It's where I had the most growth.
The other takeaway I get from you guys is that, because baseball is how I connect with my son. That's the time we spend together.
It's awesome.
And I know that a lot of parents out there listening, there's other activities besides sports that you can do with your kids. And
so true.
The advice to hold that thing close, right? And protect your kids' love for it.
Yeah.
And don't let yourself get in the way.
Thanks, Sully.
Don't be me. Or else my wife will yell at me some more. Don't want that conduit, and I'm glad to do it.
Two people down in Pierce County are at odds. We will share that next. Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington.
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
There's a fire at the Cheesecake Factory. Downtown. They were already closing down that location. They had announced back in March. And I'm not suggesting this is what they did. Not at all. God bless them. Not in a million years. I love their club sandwich. This is an interesting coincidence.
I don't know, man, where there's smoke. I'm just saying.
Jake and Spike.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
On KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM. Watch the Jake and Spike Show live on YouTube.
Progressive knows you've got enough to worry about in life.
Hi, it's your life again. Feel like another year is just slipping away? Yeah, remember all those New Year's resolutions you made? You still haven't finished the first book. Just 19 more to go. I mean, if we're being honest, it wasn't a very realistic goal. Have you ever considered that you intentionally self-sabotage? So what's that about?
So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Reutin, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This week's First Mark Challenge victory, well, it goes to Mike. Hey, Mike, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
My wife and I moved here from New York City and found this great guy. It got pricey, but because he was good to us over the years, we stayed loyal to him. But then one day, I got an increase that was quite unacceptable. So I made one phone call. I didn't do any shopping. My wife told me to call First Mark.
Mike, were they able to save you and your family money?
Oh, yes. It was over $100 a month.
What would you tell others they can expect when they call First Mark?
The most competitive pricing that you can find. And they had terrific customer service. Even if you're on the phone with them, you can tell they have a smile on their face, so you can tell they love what they're doing.
Do you wish you would have made that call earlier?
I was just kicking myself as you were speaking because I didn't do it sooner.
Well, you just heard. Mike did it. My family did it. You got to do it too. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. That's firstmarkinsurance.com.
Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates, and Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. State troopers say crews are putting debris from a semi-truck that crashed and burst into flames into an industrial-sized dumpster on I-5 in Tacoma right now. The truck driver died in this morning's crash, and all lanes northbound remain closed for an investigation. Vigils are being held in the Seattle area to remember the 11 people killed when a car rammed into a Filipino festival in Vancouver, BC. More from KIRO 7 TV's Jake Chapman.
Many within the Filipino community in Seattle came to a resting place in the Chinatown International District, not only to grieve the lives lost.
We are extending the arms of this community to hold you as well as we can.
But try to navigate through this.
Being in this community, being a Filipino, this is family.
As this community continues to try and make sense of such a senseless act.
The SUV driver has been charged with multiple counts of second-degree murder. Amazon is denying reports the company planned to show you just how much tariffs are increasing the price of the items you buy. Earlier this morning, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt slammed the company.
I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon.
The U.S.-China trade war has caused a significant slowdown in container ship traffic at the ports of Seattle and Tacoma. And Port of Seattle Commissioner Ryan Calkins believes China is in no hurry to cut a deal with the U.S. to lift tariffs.
The Chinese are just sitting back and, got their bucket of popcorn and watching it all happened back in D.C.
He thinks we could start to see supply shortages within weeks. And if the tariff battle goes on long enough, it could be worse, he says, than what we saw during the pandemic. President Trump is poised to give U.S. automakers a break from some of his tariffs. CBS's Stacey Lynn explains.
According to senior Commerce Department officials, the executive order will include offsets for automakers who finish cars in America and an exemption from stacking tariffs on parts. The relief is designed to allow all the domestic auto manufacturers to grow their plants, employment, and build more factories in the U.S.
Consumer confidence has slumped for the fifth straight month, economist Gus Fauché.
The longer the tariffs remain in place, the more uncertainty there is, the higher the tariffs are, the greater the drag on the economy and the greater potential for recession down the road.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 241 points, NASDAQ ahead 25. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Tacoma, that crash investigation has all lanes on northbound I-5 closed near South 84th Street. One lane still closed southbound. Travel time, Olympia to Tacoma, is 51 minutes, about 20 longer than usual. In Renton, the disabled vehicle may have been moved from I-405 northbound at Northeast 44th Street. Your travel time, Renton to Bellevue, is back down to 23 minutes. Traffic brought to you by Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Through April, Lake Washington Windows is paying your sales tax plus giving you 18 months to pay for them. For details, visit lakewashingtonwindows.com. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 53 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. Text us at 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. And Don in Snohomish, I love seeing you on our YouTube page. I'm waving when I say hello. Join us there as well. We've built quite a community, and it continues to grow each day. So later today, the Pierce County Council is going to be voting on a resolution that would reinforce so-called sanctuary status. Specifically, it would say that county resources should not be used to support any federal surveillance or registration programs. As we reported recently, the Pierce County Sheriff, Keith Swank, is against this resolution. He even traveled to the White House to meet with federal immigration officials. And this is what he told KTTH's Jason Rantz.
I'm going to reach out to ICE and the Washington D.C., the Trump administration, Department of Justice, and I'm going to tell them what's going on here and ask them for a hand. And I'm contemplating entering into the 287G, which is the agreement with ICE to help them detain illegal aliens.
So just want to remind you that when Jason asked him how big of a problem this is, that the county isn't currently cooperating with ICE, this is what the sheriff said.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen it come up since I've been the sheriff. That's been 3 months. So, I mean, it's not like we're not out searching for people, but now that he started doing this thing, maybe I will start going out searching for people, you know? So to say, look, we weren't concentrating on doing anything like that at all. We were just going about law enforcement, and then all this stuff happened. So they're coming after me. So, what am I going to do? I might just go out and enforce these immigration laws and with the federal government then.
So tomorrow morning on our show, in the 10 o'clock hour, we are going to have Pierce County Executive Ryan Mello join us to explain this resolution and why it is so important.
Yeah. When you hear Keith Swank, not only does he not sound like a leader, but what comes out of his mouth has nothing to do with leadership. And he talked about his trip to Washington, D.C. And by the way, why did he take that trip to Washington, D.C.? Not because he has problems here at home. You heard him say that in his 3 months, and he made a point to call them illegal aliens. Nothing in 3 months, not even a problem. But he went to D.C. to give moral support to Adams County Sheriff Dale Wagner. So he just went there for moral support. So you mean to tell me, did tax dollars pay for him?
That's your tax dollars. You're a Pierce County resident.
I just thought about it. I live, and that's why I work. I don't work there, but I live in Pierce County.
And you pay taxes
and
there.
I pay taxes there. And for Keith Swank to go for moral support when there's not a problem back here at home. The reason why, and I can't wait, I'm glad the Pierce County Executive is going to be coming on our show tomorrow, and then we're going to find out what the resolution is today with the council, Pierce County Council voting on that today. Ursula, you always say, what do you always say, the solution? That one
it's
thing?
a solution in search of an actual problem.
And that's what is happening with him. And the way he is spending his time to go give moral support to another sheriff when right here at home there's no problem. You see,
he's trying to win points with a certain base versus actually trying to make it right for all of Pierce County.
Aren't we tired of that? Aren't we tired of fake leaders that only want to lead and appeal to a certain amount of people?
Maybe,
this is why I don't like hot tub sheriff.
Yeah, but maybe you're in the minority when it comes to this in Pierce County because there were warnings about him and Pierce County voters still elected him. I mean, he did not have his opponent had the support of the past Pierce County sheriff, the past Pierce County executive. And despite all that, Pierce County voters, so your neighbors, voted for Keith Swank.
Well, you don't have to make this personal.
But I'm just saying, maybe
you're not wrong.
Maybe you're not in touch with what the rest of Pierce County wants.
Okay, let me just say this, and just so we're clear, I don't like this man. Only thing he does every single day is prove me right. Here is someone that is trying to make a big deal. And can you play the cut again? No, because I don't want anybody to think that, Gee is just making stuff up. Listen to the words out of this man's mouth when he is asked the question of if there is a problem.
Hold up. I am going to have to get it here. Here's what he said. When he was asked how big of a problem it is.
To be honest with you, I haven't seen it come up since I've been the sheriff. That's been 3 months. So, I mean, it's not like we're not out searching for people, but now that he started doing this thing, maybe I will start going out searching for people, So to say, look, we weren't concentrating on doing anything like that at all. We were just going about law enforcement, and then now this stuff happened. So they're coming after me. So, what am I going to do? I might just go out and enforce these immigration laws and with the federal government then.
He actually said one other thing that I want to play again because, he says everyone in Pierce County government is out to get him because of his stance. And he is worried about what might happen to him because of his desire to work in cooperation with ICE.
I don't know where it ends. Like I just said, are they going to come and arrest me, put me in jail, lock me up? Are they going to come take me out of my office at gunpoint, send the WSP to come arrest me? I don't know where it ends. I'm just going to stand up and do what's right, Jason.
Let's put Ursula. Let's put politics to the side, and I want to ask a real question to all of my brothers and sisters that's listening. You tell me you've heard a sheriff sound like this? You tell me you've heard a sheriff talk like that? Usually, they don't say the quiet part out loud. And the thing that bothers me, and I want to be, so I can really share with you, when I think of Keith Swank. He reminds me of what a sheriff was in the 30s and 40s. He reminds me of a sheriff that was in the civil rights movement. He reminds me of a sheriff that would have a police department that helped arrest Dr. Martin Luther King 29 times. I want to remind you, Dr. King was arrested 29 times because back then it was an attack on black people. Today, it's an attack on undocumented immigrants. And you see, the way he purposely calls them illegal aliens, that is a dog whistle. I am very familiar with dog whistle because I'm a black man in America for almost 50 years. I come from parents who come from the South, who have seen this in real life. You see, the Keith Swanks of the world have no idea what it is like to have law enforcement make you a target because of the color of your skin. I never thought I would miss Ed Troyer because the Pierce County has no leadership as a sheriff, and he knows it. He knows it. This is why the reasons why he doesn't want to come on this show. He knows his leadership sucks.
206 texted in it looks like one of your neighbors. On Keith Swank, I did vote for him, but that was before all the things he said and did came out. Keep texting us.
And when they say illegal alien, that's nothing but a dog whistle to tell everybody, yeah, I'm on this side. Give me a sheriff. Again, Ed Troyer wasn't like that. Coming up next here on the Gee Ursula Scenarios.
The John Curley Show, weekdays 3 to 7.
The guy that was a hitman for the Gambino. He's part of the Gambino family, yeah. And there was a motivational speaker. He's in this, talking to a bunch of, grade school kids. They're like, listen, you guys gonna be okay. Just don't be snitches. They get stitches.
John Curley, weekdays 3 to 7 on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM. Watch the John Curley Show live on YouTube.
We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, the reverse mortgage expert. Steve, mortgage rates have been dropping this year. How could that help seniors struggling to stay in their homes?
Lower mortgage rates means seniors can now get more money from their equity with a reverse mortgage. You can pay off your existing mortgage, have extra money to help with today's high cost of living, or believe it or not, you can even buy a home with a reverse mortgage. There are many uses, and best of all, you have no mortgage payments the rest of your life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
Jim Singletary here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we're not afraid to tell you no. Looking for a roofing company that'll do cheap, fast work and just cover up the problem? No, that's not us. Want a quick quote without a real inspection? Nope. Just want a price without knowing your options? Not happening. Look, we don't want to tell you no, but if saying yes means cut corners, bad results, or wasted money, we won't do it. Period. And here's the deal. Seattle gets 150 rainy days a year. That's not wait and see weather, it's call RoofSmart now weather. We say no to leaky roofs, sloppy work, and bad estimates, and yes to thorough inspections, accurate quotes, and top quality work that actually lasts. So if you want an honest roofer who's not afraid to say no to bad work, call RoofSmart today at 206-487-4877 or visit GetRoofSmart.com. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com.
Did you know that nearly half the homes in Western Washington are not properly insulated or not insulated at all? That may be the reason why your home is way too hot in the summer and way too cold in the winter. It may also be the reason that your energy bills are sky high. Right now, Insulation Northwest is offering a free inspection of your home's insulation. This is a $199 value and it's absolutely free, no obligation. Just call today and Insulation Northwest will arrange a time that works with with your schedule. We'll perform a thorough exam of your home's insulation and give you the advice you need to start saving thousands. Everyone who calls today will also receive a free infrared screening of your home using the latest technology. This will help reveal any hidden flaws in your home's protective energy blanket. What do you have to lose? It only takes about an hour and it's absolutely free. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com.
The old throne's not too well, and ooh, does it smell?
DayandNight.net.
Hi, I'm Bruce, General Manager of Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Over the past 70 years, I think we've seen every drain clog out there. If your pipes aren't draining, I promise you, our experienced technicians will find the issue, the right solution, and do it at a fair price. We'll work harder than anyone to earn your trust.
Call Day and Night to save $50 off any drain cleaning.
DayandNight.net.
See the new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort, and they start at just $80,000. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Ursula, I blame you today. Today's show been heavy. It's been heavy.
Wait, I tried to lighten it up, and then you went heavy.
Oh, yeah. All right.
But it's okay. I'll shoulder part of it later.
All right, scenarios.
Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario?
I got a big problem on my hands. I love my girlfriend. I want to be with her, but she has no interest in being married. It's not about me. She says that marriages ruin relationships. Well, I'm the head of music in my church, and the head pastor has been pressuring me to stop living with this woman because it looks bad for my position. Because you know how, Ursula, sometimes in the church, they judge you if you're not married, as my mama say, shacking up. He says, appearances are important and it doesn't look right. I've put it off so far, but can't do it much longer. She doesn't want to break up, but will not commit and says she will never be married. So now I'm about to be in a position of having to resign from my job or lose my girl. Am I seeing this thing wrong? What would you do? 888-973-5476 is the text line. Ursula, you up to bat first. What you got?
See, I have a couple of clarifying questions that we can't ask, but one question would be, is this someone you want to marry? If regardless of what job you have, is this someone you would want to marry anyway? And she has zero interest in getting married. Because that would be the first thing. A lot of times people will stay in a relationship even though they're not in agreement as what they want long term. And I would suggest that if it's really important for you to be married eventually or you to have kids together, she is steadfastly against that, she's not the one for you. And I would say rather recognize that now versus waiting until later. The second thing is, churches and jobs have certain requirements, et cetera, and you've been told, can they force you to do that? You could actually have a lawsuit, I believe, and I believe people have sued over things like that.
Right.
Unless it's in the contract somewhere. I mean, what happens in the Catholic Church is another example of where that can get tangled. Yeah. So my question would be, is this someone that you want to marry ultimately? And if so, she's telling you right now that you are never going to be seeing eye to eye on that, and I would act accordingly.
I think Rachel C. wins on the text line today. Rachel C. basically comes in and says, not the girl or the church for you. Rachel C., that was pretty simple.
Yeah, there you go.
But before you go, Chef, I just want to just say this. Y'all, do you know I was like a few years old when I realized how many people out here are running around saying that they're married?
Oh, yeah.
But they're not married on paper because they are able to take advantage of, you know what I'm saying, the benefits and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of people that are walking around here that didn't sign them paper. Like, we're married, but not technically married. Because when you're technically married, with air quotes, you can't get some of the things. But if you're not,
See, I know more of the opposite, where you get married because then you can get more things.
Well, can I be specific on some things?
Yes.
Child care.
What do you mean?
So if they're married, air quotes, I'm talking about this. If they're not married, then sometimes somebody by themselves can qualify for certain things. But if they were married, you combine the income and they can't qualify.
Yes, I see what you're saying.
I get it.
Okay.
I get it. Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. I just blew my mind. I never thought that, like...
Same.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either. That's my point.
That would never even enter my brain.
Okay.
If you're in a relationship like that, it doesn't sound very real to me, because just like this one, you don't care about her. If you're not really pushing her to get married and she's not going to do it, like, she's not for you.
Yeah, exactly. Not a match made in heaven.
I'm sorry, but the church needs to get over this whole, like, shacking up situation. The idea that, like, premarital sex or sex outside of marriage is something that you can regulate by moral doctrine is just not reasonable for humanity. I don't think it's possible. It leads to horrible, horrible outcomes and a lot of cover-ups and abuse within churches.
True, and it also is even that much harder as people are waiting longer to get married.
I'll tell you what. By the way, I just told that little story about what I found out recently, and boy, a lot of people texting in that know exactly what the deal is.
You know, the only thing that is the outcome of churches saying you have to remain abstinent until marriage, it means that tens of thousands of people get married to someone at a very young age in the wrong relationship just because they feel that physical want and they confuse that with love.
Nick, Dave, go ahead. I got a sweeping statement after you, Nick.
Well, you know, I wouldn't stick around with where if it seems there's different goals in mind, and you have to decide what's more important, your job or the lady. Now, if you really love her and the marriage doesn't matter, ride into the sunset. Because if it were me, I would at least not allow the folks around me at the church to assume she's the devil that doesn't want the ring. I'd have sure faith beforehand with her, though, because there really isn't anything written in stone. But stop the judgment and pressure. You don't need that.
Good stuff.
So we're telling him neither the church nor the girl are for you, or the other answer is simple. Which is more important, the church or the girl?
The girl. Yeah, you better stay in that relationship. Let me tell y'all something. Just because she doesn't want to get married doesn't mean that can't be a great relationship. As a matter of fact, you ready for my sweeping statement? Oh boy, I might get in trouble. I think a lot of times one of the biggest problems in actual relationships are the marriage deal that's on paper, because it takes a little amount of money to get married, and it takes all kinds of money to get a divorce. So you have a lot of people that are staying in relationships because they know the song, it's cheaper to keep her. That's what they say, things like that, right? There's some people that it's less expensive for you to stay in a relationship, which is the reason why a lot of us don't really understand what we're going through and getting into when we get married on paper. You get less tax money, all kinds of stuff. Agree to disagree comes up next. Gee Ursula.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
Stop struggling to get your job posts seen on other job sites. Indeed's Sponsored Jobs feature helps you stand out and hire fast. Start at Indeed.com/credit.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
Protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive so you can stop worrying about them and invent new things to worry about, like snakes in your bedroom. Sure, that sounds incredibly irrational, but now that we've mentioned it, you are a little worried. The odds of one snake, let alone snakes plural, are so slim. But you might want to check. Oh, you're not near your bedroom. Guess you'll just have to sit there and worry about it. So let Progressive protect your home and auto, because you've got enough to worry about. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's a new year, but many seniors are struggling with the same old problem: high prices and rising property taxes. We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, and he says a reverse mortgage may be the answer.
Many seniors cannot afford to stay in the home they love. A reverse mortgage gives them access to equity in their home without having to sell. They can pay off their mortgage if they have one, and maybe pull some extra cash out of their home, and best of all, they have no mortgage payment the rest of their life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
KIRO FM and HD1 Tacoma, Seattle.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump is marking 100 days of his second term by holding a rally in Michigan while his administration softens some tariffs on the auto industry. CBS's Natalie Brand has the details.
The auto industry would not be subject to those 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum, obviously key materials for automobiles and auto parts. The 25% tariff on foreign auto imports would still remain in place. And when it comes to auto parts, we're learning that those two would not be subject to kind of the stacked tariffs of, steel and aluminum, as well as fentanyl tariffs.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said today tariff talks are continuing, but he wouldn't name names. And the lack of information about the trade war continues to unnerve investors and consumers. Damon Phillips owns a cigar shop in Atlanta.
It is going to have an adverse effect on communities that are not used to struggling.
not used to hard times. I think it's going to affect them a lot more than other communities.
Consumer confidence slumped for the 5th straight month. CBS's Kelly O'Grady.
We saw consumer confidence overall hit the lowest level since May of 2020. That was just a few months into the pandemic when there was all of that uncertainty about where things would go.
And that uncertainty is weighing on businesses, delaying or even canceling their outlooks, and some are worried about holiday sales. Cargo shipments have plummeted. Analyst Bert Flickinger.
Strategic Resource Group said orders have to be in by Memorial Day at the latest, and hope to get back to school shipping in pre-Labor Day because the shelves are already 40 to 80% empty on imported goods, especially imported goods from Asia.
Amazon says it is not planning to list added tariff costs next to the prices of products on its site. The White House had denounced the move. Amazon says the idea was never approved. Faculty and students at Columbia University have wrapped up a 25-hour speak out for academic freedom.
Columbia is complying with the Trump administration's demands to have hundreds of millions of dollars in federal funding restored. That's not going over well with many on campus who lashed out at the university's board of trustees.
Has been complicit in some agreements that we're not necessarily all in agreement about in terms of influencing some of our curriculum.
Social work professor Susan White.
We are in a crisis. Our funding has been cut.
Columbia says its actions will preserve its independence. Michael Wallace, CBS News.
On Wall Street, the Dow is up 375 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
A deadly crash shuts down part of I-5. I'll have details in a moment, but first from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Tacoma, that crash investigation has all lanes of northbound I-5 closed near South 84th Street. Most lanes are open southbound. Travel time, Olympia to Tacoma, 51 minutes. That's 20 longer than typical. That really is your big trouble spot. Otherwise, travel times are pretty good. Everett to Seattle, 25 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle, 25. Renton to Bellevue, 22. Traffic brought to you by ProSculpt, the one-day permanent fat loss and skin tightening solution for men and women offered by New Skin Med Spa in Bellevue. ProSculpt.com.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch.
Any place there's a fully blocking collision on I-5, it's not a good place to have a crash.
Trooper John Totillo on that fiery crash this morning that left a semi-truck driver dead. It happened in the northbound lanes of I-5 in Tacoma. The wreck threw debris into the southbound lanes.
In the southbound lanes, we had a light pole that was disconnected from its base as a result of the collision, and also large chunks of concrete Jersey barrier.
You can get through southbound, but the northbound lanes are still closed. That's where crews are right now loading chunks of semi-truck and other debris into an industrial-sized dumper. We're learning more about the 3 people found dead in a Newcastle home Thursday night. The King County Medical Examiner says the victims include a 14-year-old boy and a 41-year-old woman, both fatally shot. A 44-year-old man died by suicide. Their bodies were discovered in a home on Southeast 75th Street near 129th Place Southeast. Tacoma is dealing with a rash of shootings. KIRO 7 TV's Deborah Horn reports from the scene of the latest.
Just before 7 o'clock Sunday night, the calls started coming in to Tacoma police.
Like pop, pop, pop.
I hear the boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, we heard about 6, 7 shots.
A man and a woman had been shot in this Salishan neighborhood in East Tacoma. The man was dying. This is becoming a sad reality in Tacoma. Since January 9th, 11 people have died by homicide here, nearly double the number this time last year.
Many of the recent shootings were in East Tacoma. A 120-year-old restaurant at the Pike Place Market is going to stick around after all. The Virginia Inn was set to close at the end of the month because it could not reach a lease agreement with its landlord. Now, the restaurant has posted on social media it is working out a deal to stay. The hottest team in baseball now includes back-to-back American League Players of the Week.
Jorge Polanco, his second home run of the night. He is absolutely on fire.
Polanco earned the honors after hitting 4 home runs last week with a batting average near 500. Dylan Moore took home the award last week. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 52 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning, everybody. It's the Gee and Ursula Show. Happy Tuesday, April 29th. Yo, Ursula, the first 2 hours of the show,
heavy, full of meat.
It was like
heavy on the meat.
It was like being in a boxing match, and the other boxer just went to the body. And I got to tell you, I walked in, I'm like, man, it's been 100 days. 100 days.
Yes. And I just to pull back the curtain, in our 10 o'clock segment, we had a couple of other stories we were going to do, and it was 9:55 when I said, could we please do something else? Right? I mean, it just was like, no, we're already so deep. Let's talk about something else. So we're trying to find that balance. Hey, coming up at 11:30, speaking of which, we had that conversation about coaching your own kids.
Yes.
And a bunch of you texted in and shared stories about things that your parents did or you did as parents that you regret it. And so we started asking, like, what was something that your parents did that you made a very conscious effort to be different?
Nothing.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that at 11:30, but we want to share your stories too. Text us 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. You can have that conversation on YouTube as well. But some of you have shared some stories that are really both heartbreaking and heartwarming. So we want to share those with you coming up at 11:30.
All right, let's do it. Agree to disagree. Brought to you by Garden Roofing and Gutters.
One of these days, we just got to take off the gloves. Just really go at it.
You know how these startup companies always say, we're like Uber, but for your backyard or your pool. Well, there is an Uber for your backyard or even your driveway now. It is a site called Neighbor Storage, and it is a site where people can rent storage or parking spaces for their RVs, travel trailers, boats, or bus, whatever you need to park or store. Business Insider talked to somebody who has done this since 2022, and they said they've earned $74,000 doing this. Gee, what do you think about folks renting out their land or any extra space on their property to stow stuff on?
I think it's great. I think it's great if you want to be able to do that. Hopefully, the neighbors to my left and my neighbors to my right don't do it, or the neighbors across the street. I mean, but hey, if somebody's able to make money doing this, great. Also, the old saying, you get what you pay for too. So if you're not going to a place where it's insured and all the different types of insurances, because if something goes down on that property, you know, you got to be careful of that. So I know Ursula's going to come in and say no against it, but hey, I ain't stunning people from making money. You do your thing.
You pointed out, see, I think there's some hypocrisy, and maybe that's too harsh of a word, but you said, I don't want it on the left of me and I don't want it on the right of me, but if they want to do it, so where would it be okay? I mean, near someone else's house?
I'm totally hypocritical. I'm just being honest about it.
Yeah.
At least I told y'all, but you know what I mean? I just don't want it in my neighborhood.
But in other words, you're not in favor of it because you wouldn't want it in your neighborhood. I would hate it in my neighborhood. I would absolutely hate it because I know that there would be some people who would be completely taking advantage of this situation, not caring what it does to everyone else's home or lack of parking or noise or, you know, whatever, our quality of living. And it would be a way, that I think, even though I'm not always in favor of much more regulation, I think it would have to be something that would be regulated so that people don't go crazy and have this side hustle. Yeah, it might make you more money, but it's going to make everyone else miserable.
And Ursula, I think it would be absolutely scary because, you know, when are the hours that you can come and check on the RV? And by the way, what's in the RV? Like, you can't even, you know what I mean? Like,
again, more reasons why I would hate this idea.
No, I hate the idea in my neighborhood, but I want other people to be able to make money. It's hard out here.
I want other people to make money too, not that way. How's that?
Well, there's a lot of people that also can't afford to own homes, but they can still afford to have fun, right? And so they have an RV. They might have a boat, but they don't have a place to put it. I think it's a great service. It also seems like some folks are maybe taking advantage of it. I'm looking at one listing here. This is street parking in Bellevue. Street parking, literally $250 a month in front of this person's house. I don't know how they're getting away with that, but it seems incredible. Now, to take this one step further, G, we're in a massive housing crunch. It's legal for you to store vehicles on your property. It is, however, not legal to live in an RV on your property in the vast majority of the state. Do you think it should be okay for people to live in the RVs that are already parked on properties around the cities here?
Yeah.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Look, hey, that's why I got the HOA. You got to approve that with the HOA first.
See? Yeah, the reason he's okay with it because it doesn't affect him.
Look, I admit it. Well, that's the thing about it. That's why y'all like the Gee and Ursula Show. I can admit my hypocrisy. I am very hypocritical on this topic. Look, go make your money elsewhere. I want to keep my little cul-de-sac and my HOAs.
So
keep it cool over there.
Impose on other people because it's not going to affect you. No. And in fact, I think that there are ways where it would be okay. For example, if I have a garage, or let's say a detached garage that I'm not using, and I want to rent it to somebody, that's not going to impact my neighbors. And so I have no issue with that. And people do that all the time. Or maybe not all the time, but they're doing it more and more because parking is such a premium here. But if you now are imposing on other people and degrading their quality of life, I think it's atrocious.
What if you live in a more rural area, though, right? So you have a half-acre property and your neighbor across the street decides to rent out their spot and they all of a sudden have 3 RVs, a bus and a boat parked there. Does that bother you?
No, because in the rural areas, there's so much land, you're fine. Right? Like, I'm only judging this topic just looking at my cul-de-sac in the city. When you're out in the rural area, there's parts of Pierce, there's so much land out in Pierce County. I'm talking about that specifically. I see situations where you have RVs. It's like a little bitty old tic-tac.
It wouldn't have a negative impact on your neighbors. Then it's okay.
Okay, serious story, but maybe it'll get some of us to reconsider. Near the Idaho-Washington border 2 days ago, there was a driver in a vintage 1955 Chevy tried to pass another vehicle on a 2-lane highway, collided with someone. It was a fatality collision. And G, this just made me think about passing on those 2-lane roads. Do you recommend it? Do you do it? What are your thoughts?
I don't recommend it. I don't do it. Matter of fact, so much so, I cringe. I don't even like to be on any 2-lane highways. I will not drive on a 2-lane highway at nighttime. If I have to, it's going to be in the day. It scares me, Ursula, the thought that the person in the other lane has my life in their hands. That's really hard for me. So no, the old passing and all that stuff, I'm scared. I can't do it. How about you?
I think there are stretches of Highway 18 that are like that, right? I mean, and
I go around.
That one's to me just so scary.
Yeah.
I hate it when people do that passing, and sometimes my husband wants to do it, and I have to make sure I have to be able to see miles and miles ahead. It needs to be completely straight.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, if there's any chance of a curve anywhere close, heck no. And my point to whoever tries to do that passing is it really that important to get ahead of the car ahead of you?
Right.
Sometimes it is.
To endanger lives. Yet sometimes it is. And again, it would be in those occasions. What I would rather have is people who know that they're backing up traffic at the closest convenience that you actually pull over so that people can move ahead of you.
Yeah. Well, realistically, though, so 520, not 520, Highway 2, for example.
Highway 2
before
is
you
another
get
one.
to Stevens Pass in a lot of areas, it's miles and miles of just 2-lane highway. And that can back up like crazy.
Yeah.
And there's only like 2 pull-offs in certain spots before you get to the pass. And so you can have somebody who, for whatever reason, is doing 45 miles an hour. And you can legitimately be talking about like a half-hour delay in your trip, and there's people stacked all the way up. I'd love to see people get ticketed for that more, but it's a really hard thing to catch. We don't have enough law enforcement. I mean, there's a reason why there are the double lines, and the striped lines on the roads. It's because, like, we do need to pass sometimes. And my wife hates it. Even if there's enough room on the road, she's, oh my God, I hate it when you do that. Don't ever do that. I'm like, I'm not going to wait 20 minutes.
Or maybe do it when you're driving alone.
When Mike in Portland's talking about rural counties. When I lived in Indiana, went to college out there. It's all it was 2-lane highways. And unfortunately, back then, again, I was young and pretty dumb too at that time. I did a lot of passing vehicles. And to which Amani brings up a good point. There were times that people would speed up on me.
Yeah.
I've had that happen as well.
Yeah.
That's
just a jerk move, too.
And so, again, doing that, you can't control. So, once again, your life is in the hands of someone else. There are jerks out there that will speed up as you go to try to pass them.
That's a really good point, because even at that point, if you're doing 90 to try and pass someone and you tap your brakes, it's pretty darn easy to fishtail and spin out.
Yeah, 425 says 2-lane highways have lane markings where passing is allowed. That's where I will pass. And yeah, of course. Sure. That's when you'll do it. But even sometimes then, have you had close calls? Because I know we have.
Close calls according to my wife, not according to me.
I've had. Yeah, we've had close calls. It's like, no.
Yeah, I was pretty dumb.
All right.
I was pretty dumb.
Okay, I saw a big debate going on. Slate has this nice parenting column where they deal with parenting issues all the time. And the big question today was whether kids should be allowed to lock their bedroom doors. A particular parent in this situation wanted to allow their child to have a lock because their 3-year-old younger brother was destroying their things. But other parents brought up, hey, when the kids are older, they need it for privacy. Gee, your thoughts on locked doors?
Yeah, no. It was Angela Russell. I remember we were having this discussion about that. Not only were you not allowed to lock your door in my house growing up and in my house when my kids were growing up, you can't even close your door. What are you doing in there?
Did you have that rule for your boys too?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
That you cannot close your door. They have to keep the door open at all times?
And you want to know...
At all times?
At all times you keep it open. And you want to know the reason why? You know what really stood out to me? And if you guys remember, what year was... remember the kids from tragedy, Columbine? Those kids, we were talking about how behind closed doors, they were doing all this stuff. No, look this up. And how these kids were at home, all of the stuff that they were doing were behind closed doors in their room. So that stood out to me. But it worked for me as a kid. It won't work for my kids, too. And if I had to do it all over again, they can't close the door. What you locking the door for?
I am not allowing locking the door because of in the case of an emergency. But I think that kids growing up should have some privacy. And I don't want to see everything that they're doing in the room.
Okay,
sorry.
I'll admit. I was extreme by not letting you close the door. But now I have a serious question for you and everyone else.
Yeah.
Why lock the door?
Because they don't want to have someone
barge in
at an inopportune time. Hello.
What are they doing?
Okay, I don't want to get into...
we change our clothes.
No, hold on.
Yeah,
are you guys justifying kids locking the doors at home? Nah, no. There's no reason to lock the door.
I would only be okay with locking the door, again, A, if I have a key, and B, if it's little brother coming in and you can't stop it, from happening, then I get that. But closing the door, I think there are certain times that they need their privacy, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. No, hold on. Ursula, talk to me now.
Bobby in Tacoma. Gee, you know what a 15-year-old boy is doing by locking the door? Yes, I do.
Yeah. And
Nah, y'all tripping. No. There is no reason for little Steve, little Riley to be closing the door. Becky, Heather.
There are things that happen very naturally and are very a natural part of growing up that maybe they need some privacy.
No.
That's only relegated to the bathroom?
No.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, text us 888-973-5476. I think we're just agreeing.
I don't
to
even
disagree on this
understand.
one.
I don't even understand the safety argument.
Chef,
for
how many
like, why
times
you
did you smoke outside of the window?
If there's a fire,
How many times did you smoke outside the window growing up? Any of y'all listening?
Have I told you this, or are you just like reading my mind? All the time.
If you locked your door at home, there is a good chance that you were doing things that you weren't supposed to be doing.
Do you think me hanging a cigarette out my window with a locked door made it impossible for my parents to figure out what was going on?
Okay, Chef, another question. How many times do you sneak out? How many times do you sneak out the house?
I don't need a locked door to sneak out the house.
That's not my point. My question to you is how many times do you sneak out of the house?
I used to jump off the roof all the time.
How many times did you take your parents' car? There's a theme here, y'all. There's a theme.
Yeah, but
when you deny privacy, like you're just teaching a child how to hide things better.
Exactly. There are certain times, Gee, I will stand on this one, that kids need their privacy. That said, I'm not okay with locking the door for numerous reasons, but our text line is blowing up right now, and people are... George in Fremont. Gee, it's called private time. Another one said, okay, if you keep your door open, you're going to have higher water bills. I mean,
what if you have a daughter and you have a son? Are you going to say, sorry, daughter, you can't have your bedroom door closed? Son, you can't have your bedroom door closed?
Okay, wait. I admitted to you guys that I was extreme on closing the door. Then I reset and I said, there is no reason to lock your doors. To which I would say, you show me some teenagers that are locking the door. I promise you that there is a lot of things that they're doing that they're not supposed to do.
You show me a teenager with a locked door, and I'll show you more times than not a too nosy parent.
Okay. 360 says, I raised two daughters as a single dad. They were allowed to close the door but not lock it. I think that is the good compromise. That's what I did. That's what I would do it again. If my sons asked me my suggestions, I would tell them, yeah, I mean, allow them to have private time. Just they can't lock the door because you need to be able to have access.
There's no interior door that you can't easily unlock or kick through.
But in a fire, you might.
I really wonder if I'm the minority on this topic. Like,
okay, text us.
As much as these kids be into, Nick, what you think, bruh?
I think you can close the doors. I'm with you. I don't see any reasons to lock them.
Thank you.
You know what I mean?
It's simple.
It's kind of a safety issue.
Wait.
You should not be locking the door. Closing the door, okay, I was a little ridiculous. But locking the door?
Yeah, I'm not. Wait.
Are you good on that? You're not locking doors?
I'm not locking the door.
Oh,
You
okay.
said you didn't even want to close the door.
But I also...
Okay, now you've just moved back. Okay.
No, I told you guys I was ridiculous about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But locking the doors,
Yeah.
I'm just full stop there.
Yeah.
No teenagers or kids should be locking the door at home. Sorry.
Yeah, Cletus knows about the paperclip trick, too.
Yeah, I know that one too. And sometimes the credit card.
Yep.
All right.
Okay,
Ursula,
hey,
what's up at
we're
11:30?
gonna go on with our parenting talk because we're having way
Seems
too much
to be
fun
a
with
thing
this.
here
Yeah,
today.
it really is. And a bunch of you were already texted in. Have this conversation on YouTube as well. What is it that your parents did that you said, I am not going to do as a parent? Because a lot of you already shared, and we want to share some of those stories.
All right. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by DUI Heroes. KIRO Newsradio, the Northwest's trusted news source.
Get the latest from KIRO Newsradio's James Lynch.
It happened Wednesday morning just after 6 o'clock.
Experienced voices you trust.
Several people hurt after a violent Saturday in Pierce County.
Coverage you depend on.
More from KIRO Newsradio's Matt Markovich.
It's as close to a veto warning as you could possibly get.
KIRO Newsradio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
Treat yourself to a teriyaki salmon meal at Ivar's Seafood Bar. A grilled wild Alaskan salmon fillet with a teriyaki glaze, served with coconut pineapple rice and sesame ginger coleslaw for $15.99. And don't forget Ivar's Fish Sandwich, named the best fish sandwich in America by Eat This, Not That. Only $13.99. Available in all Ivar's Seafood Bars from Marysville to Tacoma and throughout Seattle, but not in Ivar's Fish Bars nor the Salmon House, Pier 54, or Mukilteo Landing. Find out more at ivers.com.
Are you finding it hard to stay cool in your home during hot weather? The issue is likely your window's poor quality and lack of heat deflecting technology. Adrian here, owner of Lake Washington Windows and Doors. Our windows are 25% more energy efficient than Energy Star standards and come with high-performance Sun Matrix glass, which can help keep the summer heat out. Combined with our Leak Armor installation, your comfort will be secured for a lifetime. Choose Lake Washington Windows and Doors, a name you can trust. Visit lakewashingtonwindows.com.
Imagine finding your dream home and moving in right away. No waiting to sell your old place first. Sounds perfect, right? That's exactly what Orchard's Move First, Sell Later program lets you do. Buy your new home now and sell the old one later. Here's how it works. Orchard gives you cash so you can buy and move into your new home first on your timeline. No waiting, no showings, no double moves. Then the Orchard experts take it from there. They handle repairs on your old home for you so you attract the right buyers. Once they're done, a local Orchard agent lists and sells your home for top dollar. Orchard's Move First program gives you the freedom to buy and move into your new home first and sell your old home later. Buy before you sell and get top dollar for your home with Orchard. Ready to find out how much your home is worth? Visit Orchard.com to get your free home valuation. That's Orchard.com.
Think about your home. Warm in the winter, cool in the summer. If any of these don't work, your quality of life is impacted. For a decade, I've trusted Home Comfort Alliance to fix and upgrade it all. Hi, John Curley here. Upgrade now with incredible savings on ultra-efficient heat pumps. Get up to $5,000 in local utility rebates. And Eastsiders save up to $6,000 with the Energy Smart Eastside program. Plus, Home Comfort Alliance is offering up to 10% off all heat pumps and air conditioning systems through April. Call Home Comfort Alliance, the comfort people. Visit homecomfortalliance.com.
You know that cartoon of the three-eyed fish swimming in polluted water next to a nuclear power plant?
Yeah, classic.
I used to think that was real, but I just learned that nuclear energy waste isn't some glowing green goo. It's actually used fuel rods from nuclear reactors that made electricity.
Wait, so no barrels of leaking sludge?
No, solid used fuel rods are safely stored at all the nuclear power plants in the U.S., including the one in Richland.
So the cartoon fish isn't real?
Not even close. Learn the facts about nuclear energy and used fuel at energy-northwest.com.
This is Secret Clinical dominating extra stinky stress sweat. And this is regular deodorant. Secret Clinical in a heat wave.
Oh, what a beautiful day.
This is regular deodorant. Ugh, I can't. Secret Clinical with workout sweat. Let's run another marathon. And regular deodorant.
How much more?
Secret is the GOAT because nothing fights sweat better.
Stay fresher under pressure.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Roof now, pay later. No payments until 2027. 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for up to 24 months. Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. Since 1968, we've helped homeowners just like you get beautiful, durable roofs without breaking the bank. Book today and lock in summer pricing before it's too late. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com to schedule your free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
Are you putting off your new kitchen plans? Why wait? Hi, Chad Cicchini, owner of Heritage Homecraft. Call today for a free in-home estimate. Years of experience, thousands of happy customers. Heritage Homecraft, 425-485-1600 or heritagehomecraft.com.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the road you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. Investigators are trying to determine what caused a semi-truck to crash and burst into flames this morning in the northbound lanes of I-5 in Tacoma. Trooper John Totillo says the truck driver died.
There are no other vehicles directly involved in the crash. There are several vehicles on the southbound side that struck debris that was in the roadway. No one is injured as a result of that.
All northbound lanes are closed for the cleanup and the investigation. Because of the U.S.-China trade war, we could see shortages that are more severe than what we saw during the pandemic. That warning from Port of Seattle Commissioner Ryan Calkins, who says both Seattle and Tacoma ports are already seeing significantly fewer container ships.
For certain commodities, it's probably weeks, not months. Even if we resolved it tomorrow, there's now a backlog in the system that is going to have to work its way through.
He says the commissioners from both ports are exploring opportunities in Vietnam and South Korea, where tariffs are less restrictive than in China. Amazon is denying reports the company planned to show you just how much tariffs are increasing the price of the items you buy. An Amazon spokesperson tells GeekWire this was never approved and is not going to happen. Earlier, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt blasted Amazon.
This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
Again, Amazon denies it was going to reveal the impact of tariffs on your purchases, but it is anticipating customers are going to buy less. CBS's Michael Wallace says that means UPS is cutting 20,000 jobs.
The delivery giant will also close 73 of its buildings by the end of June. UPS is cutting costs after agreeing to slash the number of packages it will deliver for Amazon by more than half. Amazon accounted for about 12% of UPS's revenue. UPS says the cut should save it $3.5 billion this year.
Americans' confidence in the economy slumped for the fifth straight month. Economist Gus Fauché.
Where consumers think the economy is headed, those are the numbers that have really tanked. And so that indicates that they're worried not just about the way things are, but more importantly about how things are going to be 3 months, 6 months down the road.
The Conference Board says its consumer confidence index fell 7.9% in April to its lowest reading since May of 2020. Even so, on Wall Street, the Dow is up 334 points. NASDAQ ahead 108. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Tacoma, that crash investigation and cleanup has all lanes on northbound I-5 closed near South 84th Street. Most lanes are open southbound. Travel time Olympia to Tacoma is 46 minutes, about 15 longer than typical. That really is your big trouble spot right now. Travel times overall are not bad. Everett to Seattle, 30 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle, 25. Renton to Bellevue, 20. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Cloudy skies today with highs in the upper 50s. It's 52 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. I think we've hit a nerve on the parenting topics today.
Hey, we grooving. But I will say, Ursula, you got to admit, there's a lot of people that's with us with the whole, you can close the door, but locking it, that's a different story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
although Kevin in Seattle said, or a few people said, in hindsight, maybe they shouldn't have allowed me to lock the door. Okay, but hey, we want to continue with this theme because we got a bunch of great messages, and one of them came from 253 in Boston. Mm-hmm. When you had the conversation about coaching, and that was an important conversation. If you missed any of that, listen to our podcast. It was in the 10 o'clock segment, and Sully joined us, and you, Sully, and Chef shared some coaching tips because all of you are coaches or have been coaches. Mm-hmm. So kids will remember not the wins or losses, but what you say as a parent about the win or loss. This is from 253. I was competing in several music competitions, which I won at the junior level. So my teacher thought it was time to go to the senior level. And out of 50 students, I came in 7th. And since I'd only been playing a year on drums, I was happy. Well, my dad was embarrassed, making it clear to me that if you don't win, you quit. I'm no longer going to be paying for your drum lessons, he said. So there are no losers in this family. Thankfully, my drum teacher offered me a job at his music store, so I paid for my lessons and I never invited my dad to any competition. He was no longer welcomed. 2 years later, I won the state solo and ensemble contest, and now, many decades later, at 68, I still play music. And because of music, I've seen and played for many people all over the world. I was there for the Tear Down the Wall speech, playing for President Reagan. But I still remember those hurtful words that my dad said that day. On full disclosure, before my dad died, I had to take care of him, and he apologized for that day 30 years later, but it was 30 years lost.
Wow.
That is a powerful story to share. And it got us thinking, like, what parenting mistakes do you remember that your parents made with you? And that you vowed, I am going to do differently as a parent myself? Or maybe even something that you've done yourself as a parent that you say to your kids, don't do this. I was wrong.
Yeah. Fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, I carried on the torch, I think. And I think that my kids will do things different. And what I mean by that is that growing up for us, Gen X and baby boomers, you all know that discipline came by, right? Whether it was the switch or the belt and the disciplinarian things. Or the hand, right? And that was, do as I say, not as I do mentality, right? And so because you grow up with that, and it's not like there's all types of books on parenting and you don't know what the perfect book is I took some of that parenting going forward. Now, my son and I have had this conversation, Ursula, and we talked about it. And if I were to do it again, and he and I have asked this conversation, because look, I've made tons of mistakes as a parent, tons. Matter of fact, a whole lot. But if I had to do it again, I'd probably do the same thing. And the reason why is because young black men, I can only specifically talk about this, young black men, it's almost like this, you can't mess up out here in the real world because you won't get that second chance. You probably can't afford the lawyers sometimes, right? And so there's a lot of fear that sometimes we parent as because we're so afraid for our children. And so, again, I don't think I did a good job.
So
I should have stopped.
You think you actually took a lot of what your parents taught you and you had that mentality with your own children.
Right.
Like spanking and discipline.
And even though it worked, I don't think it's a good idea. I disagree with it in totality today. And so what's the perfect way? I don't know.
Well, I was also spanked. I had a very strict, especially German father, but Filipino mom, and she also grew up spanking. And so she spanked not just to the level that my dad did. He was also, and I want to preface all this by saying, first of all, I thought they were flawed, but they were very great parents, very loving, and we never, ever doubted that we were loved. So, may they rest in peace. The thing that I did not want to take into my own raising of our children was this idea of that my kids should be fearful of me. Because we used to run around like, oh my gosh, Pa's coming home, and we'd be running around trying to fix everything and make everything look good and in the house, and there was kind of a fear of him returning home, and I didn't want my kids to have that. I wanted them to look forward to me coming home, for one thing.
Yeah.
And also the fear of being physically hit as a way of punishment. So we didn't do that with our kids.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, well, there were a few times, like swat on the bottom to make a point when they did something that was more dangerous. Yeah. But the other thing was I just didn't want to be that parent that was always yelling. Did I ever yell? Yeah, but it wasn't that I wanted him to have that fear. And we were just really open. One thing I did learn from my parents is, my mom was as open as can be about topics that a lot of parents don't want to touch. And so we did the same with our kids. But I want to just share some of the things that some of our listeners said. 360 said, what did my parents do that I won't do? Let's start with the raging alcoholism and wanting to put belt to rear while drunk. My kids will never know what that is like. Susan in Briar, I think this is important. Parents in the 50s and 60s often didn't show affection or say, I love you, mine included. My husband and I changed that up, and our sons heard and knew our love as they grew up, still do as men in their 40s, and they've passed that on to their children. You raised your hand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like a therapy session right now, I realize, and I could see that you're like really going deep into your heart right now and your mind.
Because, and the reason why is because I realized, and I've brought this up in therapy, like a lot of the things that I grew up with, I passed that, I did that, I channeled that. And again, while I don't think it was a good idea, I also don't regret it. So I'm just torn on this because I believe that sometimes some kids, now discipline comes in different ways, but some kids, when they don't get the discipline, my father used to say, you either get discipline in the playpen or the real pen.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of kids.
Scary message.
There's a lot of kids today that are getting and answering consequences that they wish they would have had with their parents, but they were so laxed that they got to do whatever they wanted, and then now they got to learn the hard way.
I am guessing that you're hard on yourself in your criticism of your own parenting skills, because you had a lot of things going on too during those years, those formative years for your kids. And if you look at how they turned out well.
Yeah. And by the way, I wish I was doing okay financially when they were younger.
That's a big thing too.
This sucks.
It is so hard to be a good parent and partner when you're struggling to keep your head above water.
What?
You don't have time, no money.
Yeah.
Keep your text messages coming in because we're reading them, even though maybe we didn't get to share. Rick in Olympia, I see you. His dad said he was too stupid to take algebra, and fortunately he had a teacher who spent extra time with him, convincing him that he was a capable student, and he ended up graduating from a private university with honors.
Good stuff. By the way, please keep these stories coming because a lot of you all are sharing awesome stories, very educational stories about your childhood, and it matters. It helps us all. All right, text message, feedback, and then we'll have Ursula's Words to Live By.
KIRO Newsradio is right there with you.
A big story developing this morning.
On your smart speaker before you head out the door.
Get the latest live from KIRO Newsradio's Luke Ducey.
Huge impacts for Boeing and Boeing workers.
The office, the gym, anywhere.
Water, like taxes, goes all the way down to the bottom, so it'll either come out of the employee's paycheck or the lack of raise.
KIRO Newsradio. We're on YouTube, our app, your smart speaker, and 97.3 FM.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
DayandNight.net.
Beat the rush.
Act now before summer,
because that heat's a real bummer.
DayandNight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave.
Keep your house cool and safe.
DayandNight.net. Make sure your AC will keep you cool when the summer heat gets here. Save $50 on a pre-summer AC tune-up. When the heat's at 11, stay cool with Day and Night.
DayandNight.net. When we reach our golden years, it's natural to want to stay in our homes. We've worked hard for them, but as our minds and bodies age, the home can become an unsafe place where loneliness thrives. Amanda here for Care Partners Senior Living. Our communities offer safe living spaces and managed common areas with medical professionals on site and ready to help. We assist you with your mobility when needed, allowing you to socialize or participate in activities whenever you like. Care Partners Senior Living provides both privacy and socialization at your desired pace. You aren't living alone in our communities because help is always nearby. And believe it or not, community living can be more cost-effective than in-home care. With locations throughout Washington and Arizona, you'll find a Care Partners community near you. Care, it's in our name and what we do. Learn more at carepartnersliving.com.
With 30 communities, including Covington, Bremerton, Snohomish, and the grand opening of North Creek Bothell, there's quality senior care at an affordable price near you. Visit carepartnersliving.com.
Ladies, and you guys too, have you noticed visible signs of aging, those deep wrinkles, fine lines, and facial creases stealing your youthful glow? Sagging skin, crow's feet, and loss of facial contour are all natural effects of aging, but you no longer have to let them define your appearance. Introducing the New Skin Lift, the groundbreaking facelift led by Dr. Brian Scott. The advanced New Skin Lift addresses key signs of facial aging for women and men, restoring natural youthful contours. Whether it's replenishing volume lost over time or lifting the skin to smooth out those creases, the New Skin Lift can help you look 10 to 20 years younger with both surgical and non-surgical options. It's Hollywood's best kept secret and now available to you. Get a free consultation and save $250 off your New Skin facelift. Schedule at newskinlift.com or 206-222-1225. Look 10 to 20 years younger and restore your youthful appearance with the New Skin facelift. newskinlift.com.
It's time. The new phase of premium view lots at Natchez RV Resort is open. Don't miss your opportunity to get first pick. Ty, tell us about it.
Our new phase features incredible extra-large RV lots with amazing unobstructed views. And talk about privacy, nothing will be developed behind them. And these lots start at just $80,000.
Natchez RV Resort has 300 days of sunshine and year-round family fun. Pickleball, playground, dog park, miles of recreational trails. Plus, you have fishing, hunting, skiing, and golf nearby. And don't forget wine tasting. Yakima Valley has been voted the #1 best wine region in the U.S.
Natchez RV Resort also features a 4,300 square foot clubhouse with gourmet kitchen, great room, fitness center, showers, and laundry. Plus, the brand new saltwater swimming pool and hot tub are open and ready for you.
Get your perfect pick of Natchez RV Resort's premium view lots, starting at just $80,000. Reserve your showing now. 800-422-6009. 800-422-6009. NatchezRVResort.com.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
It's Gee and Ursula, everybody. Wow. Hey, you know, Ursula, again, I do a good job in blaming you for everything that happens on this show. We weren't ready for this.
Were you about to give me credit for something?
I mean, I wasn't going to give you credit. No, I wouldn't give you credit. I was actually going to be upset with you because
then we got really deep.
We were not prepared. People listening and me, myself, was not prepared to go here.
But I love that we did.
Yeah, me too.
I really do. Okay. Hey, so some of your feedback on the topic of tariff impacts. Allison in Stillicum says, do you think the United States can just file for bankruptcy and call it Mr. Businessman's 7th time?
Oh, Allison, that was gold. TJ in Shelton says, it's not only stores that will have empty shelves. I'm a procurement for manufacturing. I'm scrambling to get parts to keep production moving.
253 says distributors cannot just pick up the cost of the tariffs. Walmart tried turning the tariffs back onto China, and China refused to ship the product.
Kevin in Black Diamond says, good morning. Maybe we will learn something from these tariffs. We should be less reliant on cheap Chinese imports, and we should focus on things that are higher quality and made here in the U.S.
Yeah, I hope so. But in the meantime, it's going to cost us a lot, and we might have to do some rationing in the meantime. Should you allow your kids to lock their doors? Trevor says, learning privacy is an important part of childhood development. This is a topic that's even taught in psychology.
Nick in Paulsbo says, if you're a good, trusting parent, your teen doesn't need to lock their door. And if you're a good teen that burns your parents' trust, you don't need to lock your door. But as a teen, if a parent violates that trust, they should be absolutely be able to have a basic lock that can be opened in an emergency.
What would you not do that your parents did to you? George in Fremont said, my mom was an original woo-woo granola crunchy believer. She had me go to these Chinese dudes that would read my retinas and tongue to figure out what was out of balance in my body. She one time had some shaman healer come over to our house, and we all had, Chef!
Yeah. See,
this is why Chef waits until the very last second because he likes to sabotage us. Good producing.
Again, you guys, we get these texts
within seconds of when we have to actually read them.
And so Chef sets traps for us.
Yes, I'm gonna add a different one actually. 425 said, my mom body shamed herself, which she learned from her mom. I told myself I would not do that. I've tried my best, but I have fallen short at times. Thankfully, my daughters have said that body shaming will end with them, and they have really changed that dynamic in their homes.
I want to get to this one. Listen to this text, y'all. There was a topic over another lawsuit against SPD, this time from former Chief Diaz, Chief of Staff. 360 says, I was one of 7 officers who sued our police department after 30 years of service with only one citizen complaint. Power-hungry people are sadly drawn to police work, and the most power-hungry officers tend to climb the ranks. These people usually make the worst supervisors because they feel the need to control, and they fight when their thoughts are challenged. Unfortunately, this type of supervision leads to lawsuits. Mine was one of them, and the city bought me a swimming pool in Arizona as a result. Things won't change until we have people who know how to manage people as leaders, as opposed to people who only want power over others. And I hope the sheriff of Pierce County heard that text. We need leadership.
On the topic of bears and bear spray, Matt in Ravensdale says, Ursula, using bear spray on people is illegal. I never thought you would advocate illegal behavior. Matt, you know who told me to get bear spray? A law enforcement officer. So if I have an encounter where I feel like I am endangered, I guess I'm going to take that risk of using the bear spray, even though it may not be legal.
Robin Piala says, gee, I can see the headline now. Local radio host missing after hiking Rattlesnake Ridge. Last seen with the Mariners logo Stanley and wearing blue pair of Jordans. All right, Ursula, it's time for your words to live by.
And we were talking about learning from failure, a topic that came up a couple of times. And if you missed any of it, go to our podcast. And this is a great quote. Remember that life's greatest lessons are usually learned at the worst times and from the worst mistakes.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Boy.
I loved today's show.
Yeah.
I really did.
It went by pretty fast today.
Yeah.
It did. But I think we just shared a lot of stuff that is useful in life.
Yep. For sure. Nick, what do you got?
You're still so deep in thought, by the way, Gee. I can tell.
Hey, that was deep. That was a deep part of the show. And also, I'm deep in thought because people are texting in the stores. All right, Nick, what do you got?
Well, how much coaching is too much from parent to a child? When you have a younger team with all the players running wild, and if listening to Sully, there's a point you tame it down, or you'll escalate to acting like a bear just came to town.
You make me wanna kick.
But don't ask G to help you out with any bear attacks. You're better off with his advice on first-class flights and snacks. I don't think those warm cashews on the flight are going to help you from the grizzly. Maybe a locked door, but not those cashews.
Good stuff there, Nick. All right, Ursula, what you got going on today? You going to watch some TV today?
My niece, my goddaughter, Isabel, has a birthday, so we're going to celebrate Isabel tonight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Are you guys going to a restaurant?
Well, no, we're going to her house up in Everett.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
she has a beautiful home in Everett.
Nice. All right, Chef, you got some baseball today?
Yeah, if it doesn't rain.
By the way,
there will be no yelling.
If you're free, I mean, right now the Mariners got value pack right now.
Oh, my goodness.
Today and tomorrow. The Angels, 6:40 today, and then tomorrow's, I think, 1 o'clock. $10?
Sweet deal.
$10 to go to T-Mobile Park?
And they are on a roll.
Yes, they are. Thunder roll. All right. The Jake and Spike Show comes in next. Appreciate you for listening. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.
Hope you have as much fun as we have. So long, everybody.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. Hey, you've been good to me, baby. Better than I've been to
The Jake and Spike Show.
Weekdays, noon to 3.
Here's what people are clamoring to buy right now. Poop from the Seattle Zoo. Zoodoo. You can get a zebra, you get giraffe, a poodoos. You ever heard of that animal in your life?
Never in my life.
Laura, can you look that up?
It looks like a tiny Bambi.
I don't know how much poop you're going to get from that thing.
That's why it's rare and costly, my friend.
Jake and Spike
Weekdays, noon to 3.
on KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM. Watch the Jake and Spike Show live on YouTube.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Reutin, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
At Lake Washington Windows and Doors, we provide top quality windows that are 25% more energy efficient, reduce noise by 50%, and stay clear with low maintenance glass. With leak armor installation and lifetime warranties, you're protected for life. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Right now, have ultra-efficient, clean technology windows installed and pay 0 down with 0 interest and 0 payments for 18 months. Only from Lake Washington Windows and Doors. And they'll even pay your sales tax. Visit LakeWashingtonWindows.com.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing